For 45 years, heartbreak has plagued Falmouth. Since 1980, the Cape Cod crown has stayed just out of reach. And last season, the Commodores took a step backward.
2024 season comes to an end on a rainy night at Spillane Field as the Gatemen close it out and defeat the Commodores.
But this summer, everything changes. A new era begins at Fuller Field with a new voice in the dugout. 2013 World Series champion Jared Saltalamacchia is here to lead the charge.
Swinging a line, right base hit into left field. That's the ball game. The Red Sox have rallied to win game 2. They've won it. The Sox have won it 6-5. Jared Saltalamacchia with a walk-off base hit.
New leadership, new hunger, and one mission. Bring Cape Cod glory back to Falmouth. So wherever you are, sit down and get ready. The doors are on the air. This is Falmouth Commodores baseball, and it starts right now.
We welcome you to Opening the Door here between a game between the Brewster Whitecaps and the Falmouth Commodores alongside Andrew Della Piana and Ben Haller. William Rosen on hand. Let's get it started, Ben. The offense opening up here for Falmouth.
Yeah, I think the story of the season for the first 3 games for Falmouth was how frustrating the offense was. A total of 4 runs in those first 3 games. Finally, it felt like it all came out on Tuesday night. 14 runs against Orleans. Couple of performances I really liked. Bear Harrison, obviously, with 2 home runs, and Landon Moran. Both those guys in the lineup today. See how they can follow it up.
The Falmouth Commodores offense opening up, but tonight they're facing off against Brewster, Andrew.
Yeah, Brewster, the only 4-0 team right now in the Cape, and since they started tracking that data back in 2010 about scheduled data, Brewster hasn't started 4-0 since then. It's also their first 4-game win streak since 2022. Everything going right now for the Whitecaps, and it's a little bit weird because they haven't scored the first run in any of those 4 games, all come from behind win, including that last matchup between these 2 teams.
And a matchup here will be decided. Caden Eschman back on the bump.
This feels kind of like a Friday night in a
Absolutely.
typical college series where you have your best guy on the mound against a really good offense, and it has that excitement of a Friday matchup like that. Eschman was excellent in his first game, 4 innings, did not give up a run. I'm excited to see what he could do against what's, in my opinion, the best offense in the league here in Brewster.
The door has been open in Brewster.
In sunny Brewster, Massachusetts, we have another day of Cape Cod baseball between the Falmouth Commodores and Brewster Whitecaps. Second meeting between the two in just 5 days to open up the season. Ben Haller alongside Andrew Della Piana on Cape League TV radio style today, the 3rd road game of the season for Falmouth. And Andrew, interestingly enough, the 2 road games have been the best success for Falmouth so far this year.
And we heard a little bit earlier on Opening the Door, the offensive explosion that we heard back on Tuesday night in Orleans. 14 runs for this team, including 9 runs in a 6th inning, as you talked about a little bit earlier, the 5 RBIs from Bear Harrison, 2 home runs as well to really kickstart everything going on offense. And after especially a team that only had 5 hits total coming into the series against Harwich starting on Monday, no extra base hits entering Orleans back on Tuesday. We saw this team really try to get their footing right, and they did so. That's
the question coming into this game, is how the offense can build off of that Tuesday win against Orleans. They're going to do it against a pretty good pitcher. It's Billy Barlow, a Florida Gator, who got a lot of innings in the SEC this past season. He spent some time in the ACC as well, playing for the Clemson Tigers. So he is no stranger to these very talented bats. Barlow, though, going up against Caden Eschman, someone else we talked about on the pregame show. Eschman was fantastic in his first start.
We saw him get the start on opening day against Chatham in that 1-0 victory, and he was spectacular, going 4 innings, allowing just 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, with a huge catalyst in them getting that shutout victory over Chatham, their first shutout since 2023. But on the offensive side, we kept harping on this kind of a team finding its footing early on. Our Will Rosen got to talk to Antonio Morales before today's contest.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Here with Antonio Morales. Antonio, yesterday was Fenway Day. What was so special growing up as a Red Sox fan to be back at Fenway?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a Red Sox fan. I mean, I've been to countless games as a kid. I've been on the field one time before that in a baseball event, but I mean, being on the field is just a different feeling, man. Like hitting BP, taking IO, taking ground balls. I mean, it was a great experience. I mean, I'm very grateful for it.
Especially in front of the MLB scouts and front offices, how did that make you feel going from a fan to now being on Fenway Field for a different reason?
Yeah, obviously I'm grateful. I think if I would ask my younger self that, he'd be like, there's no way. So I'm just grateful. I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to do that and showcase my skills to everyone.
Great. Thank you, Antonio. Ben and Andrew. Ben, let's take it to you.
Thank you so much, Will. Fenway Day coming pretty early in the season, the first off day. Another story, just both these teams getting a little bit of rest. And Falmouth trying to hand the Whitecaps their first loss of the 2025 season. They're the only team that stands undefeated at 4-0. And Andrew, we kind of talked about it even before the season even started. I felt like this is one of the better rosters, at least on the offensive side, and one of the better lineups in the league coming into the year.
And the biggest guy I think we have to harp in for today's broadcast that we also heard and saw when Falmouth was hosting Brewster that last time out was Daniel Couve. They give the nickname the guy Danny Dingers, and for good reason. The guy hit 20 home runs in his sophomore year, had more of a sophomore jump, if you will, where he had just 16 his freshman year, a third-team All-American this past year. But you just go down the lineup, there is some loaded talent, especially at the catcher position as well. And Drew Rogers, who was an All-ACC freshman member of this year. But I think you really hit the nail on the head where you said the talent for this Whitecaps team is really off the charts.
Unfortunately for Falmouth, that Daniel Couve that you talked about is in the starting lineup for the Whitecaps. Fortunately for Falmouth, though, no Carson Tenney. He's somebody who has been off to a slower start, but obviously a lot of expectations coming into this summer with Brewster. This is the Brewster team that we talked about that is full of ACC talent, and we'll see that ACC talent Starting lineups have been announced, national anthem's been sung, and we are ready for baseball here in Brewster. We get our first look at Billy Barlow from the University of Florida heading into his redshirt junior season. And we'll take a look at the Falmouth Commodore starting lineup. It'll be Antonio Morales once again heading it up in the leadoff spot and playing right field. Justin Osterhaus will bat second and play second base today. Bear Harrison, after the big day, bats third as the DH. Landon Moran's in left field for the first time this season, batting cleanup, with Mike Anu in center and Kent Schmidt back at first base. David McCann bats seventh behind the dish, and Ben Arroyo at short. And Carl Schmidt will round things out at third base. Jeffrey Mertzel, Chris Bain, and Ben DeCostanzo will be the three umpires today for the Brewster Whitecaps. A 4-0 start to the year. First pitch temperature is going to come in at around 79 degrees. Probably the best day we've had for baseball since the start of the year.
Yeah, we've had a couple of rainy nights, some cloudy nights, but the sun full out in effect here in Brewster tonight. A little bit hot when we walked into the ballpark, but expecting those temperatures to cool down. And of course, the unexpected elephant in the room as we walked in this ballpark today is there's no lights in this ballpark, and there's already been 2 home games here for the Whitecaps so far, only going 8 innings in both those contests, so definitely something to monitor tonight.
Brewster in their home white uniforms with those nice blue pinstripes. I like their color scheme with a little bit of teal, hint of teal in there too. Falmouth will wear theirs road. I think it's black. It almost looks like a dark gray, but black with green lettering, Falmouth across the chest, and green numbers as well. This is a Falmouth offense. We talked about it. Really struggled through the first 3 games of the season until that 4th game in Orleans. They have performed better on the road than at home this year, but already the second meeting between these 2 teams. It was a 6-3 win for Brewster on Sunday. They got 4 runs in the top of the 9th inning. And meeting number 2 will start now with Antonio Morales heading into the left-handed batter's box to get us started off. Righty on lefty matchup to open things up. Billy Barlow, righty. Caden Eschman, the starter for Falmouth, is as well. First pitch coming in at 5:06 p.m. and Antonio Morales going to knock a base hit into shallow left to get us started on the first pitch that Barlow throws. Morales has been that stereotypical leadoff guy all year, or through the first 4 games at least. 308 batting average for him so far, and he just got himself another base knock.
And it's been, as you said, extremely steady in these first couple of games. 500 on base percentage through these first 4 contests. And Coach Shelton-Maki was kind of working around different starting lineups to begin this season through these first 4 games, but I feel like Morales has found that #1 spot.
It feels like last couple of games maybe a more solidified lineup as Justin Osterhaus got a first pitch swing as well. It's a chopper right up the middle, taken by Kerr. Steps on second, throws to first, and that's a 6-3 double play to eliminate both guys swinging at their first pitches. And just like that, 2 pitches in, 2 pitches out. Now it's Bear Harrison, only 2 base hits for him this year. Both of them were home runs in Tuesday's win against Orleans. He's got himself 6 ribbies on the year, including one of those home runs being a grand slam. Kind of broke it open early in that game. In one of the first few innings, first pitch to him's a breaking ball inside. Still puts him at just 2 for 5, a 400 batting average on the year. That was only his 2nd start against Orleans. Skies one high to the right side of the infield. Priest and Wentz both going back, and now it's the right fielder Ragsdale who will pull it in for out number 3. Despite the base hit, it is a 5-pitch first inning, 1-2-3 for Billy Barlow, and we'll see those Brewster Whitecap bats face Caden Eschman on the other end of the break.
Authentic Cape Cod dining is right down the road at Jim's Clam Shack. Open seasonally for over 50 years, Jim's Clam Shack features oceanfront views with all of the lobster, shrimp, burgers, and clams you could ask for. Stop by Jim's Clam Shack, located at 227 Quinton Avenue right here in Falmouth, to hit your next meal out of the park. That's Jim's Clam Shack at 227 Quinton Avenue, Falmouth.
I'm Bear Harrison, catcher from Texas A&M College, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape League TV.
Right-hander from Vandalia, Ohio will take the mound for Falmouth after Billy Barlow for Brewster sat down the Commodores 1-2-3 of the visiting half of the first inning. Ben Haller alongside Andrew Delapiana and Brewster for Commodores and Whitecaps version 2 on the year. Josiah Ragsdale did not get the start on Sunday against Falmouth, but eventually entered the game of that 9th inning as a pinch hitter. He will lead things off, the Boston College Eagle. And the Whitecaps lineup will look like this. Ragsdale leading off, playing right. Blake Sear on the other end of the outfield. He bats second. Daniel Cuvée, the 3-hitter, playing third base, followed by Alex Sosa. Just recently entered the transfer portal DH. First pitch fastball comes in by the letters for ball 1. Dalton Wentz bats 5th and plays second. Colin Priest, a 6-hitter, playing first. Rounded out by Carson Kurtz at short, Drew Rogers behind the dish, and Ty Head in center field. Ragsdale going to be a senior at Boston College from Vineland, New Jersey. Swings through a fastball again high, and leaving the count at 1-1. Eshman yet to give up an earned run on the season. Pitched 4 very clean innings, including 7 strikeouts on Saturday against Chatham, his second start of the year. Nice breaking ball cut on and missed. Big swing and a miss from Ragsdale. Started 56 games a year ago for Boston College. Made the All-ACC tournament team a couple of years ago. And fastball runs in the dirt again to even things up at 2-2. Andrew, getting a closer look at these Brewster uniforms. I like them a lot. I like the
I was about to say the exact
Whitecaps.
same thing when Ragsdale was walking up to home plate.
Something about the font, the script Whitecaps across the chest too. 2-2 count, fouled off towards the Brewster dugout. Brewster's dugout and bullpen will be down the third baseline. Falmouth down the first baseline. Dimensions here, it's about 395 straight away center. 315, 310, 315 down the left field line, 321 down the right field line. Thank you, Andrew, for those notes. 2-2, grounded this time opposite way, pulled it towards the Falmouth dugout.
Feels pretty vastly different from what you heard back on Tuesday, where Orleans 300 to left and right field and 434 to dead center out there.
You're going to see a lot of pulled home runs in that ballpark. Probably not a lot to center field as the summer goes on. 2-2 count. Once again grounded out. So Ragsdale turned this into a pretty good at-bat, awaiting pitch number 7. And just the first plate appearance for Caden Eshman on the mound.
We got this great note back on Tuesday before that game. There's only 2 players that have ever overhit it 434, Kyle Schwarber and Frank Thomas.
That's pretty impressive. 2 very big power hitters. Big swing and a miss and a fastball cut on by Ragsdale. He's sat down on strikes. That's something that Eshman did a lot on Saturday. And Ragsdale is his first strikeout victim today.
And something that was very different from the Whitecaps team that we've seen from other teams throughout the summer already is the way Brewster really battles in the count. They make you work 8-9 pitches in at bat and can really wear you down early on in the ball game.
And a lead way for Blake Sear. He was in a lot of ways the hero on Sunday to grab Brewster's second win of the year. Now he pulls one down the left field line, medium depth left field, and making the play is Landon Moran getting his first start in left field on the year. 2 retired early for Eshman. Now Daniel Cuvée. When you talk about this Brewster team coming into the year and the offense, it's really headlined by 2 guys, him and Carson Tinney. Cuvée going into his junior year at Miami had a pretty unreal freshman year. Unanimous freshman All-American. He had 24 home runs in his first year at college, and he cuts and misses at this fastball outside, 92 miles an hour from Eshman. 75 ribbies too, which for freshmen in college is just unreal. And he followed it up by producing very similar numbers. He was a first-team All-ACC member this season. Hits one hard off the glove of the third baseman Schmidt. That'll get into foul territory, but hit off his glove in foul territory, and that'll get into the bullpen for a ground rule double. That one was smoked right off the glove of Schmidt. 92 miles an hour off the bat, and the trajectory it took after it hit off his glove just made for trouble. I think Falmouth might be lucky, depending how deep it went, that it got out of play and ended up being a ground rule double. Could have possibly been more bases for Cuvée.
Tough play, as you said, for Schmidt as well, where that was not more so a line drive right at him, but it kind of dipped in at the last moment. He really had to make a tough stop on a one-hop, gets under his glove, and luckily enough, as you mentioned, that gets only to second base for Cuvée.
So the first team to get a runner in scoring position of this early ball game. 2 outs with a runner on second. No score yet. Bottom of the first between Falmouth and Brewster. It's Alex Sosa at the plate and a fastball right down the middle. Righty on lefty matchup. Sosa talked about it on the top of the broadcast. Just recently entered the transfer portal after spending a couple of seasons at North Carolina State down in Raleigh. At 30 starts as a freshman. He's kind of a platoon man behind the plate in his first year for NC State before taking that starter role last year. Nice breaking ball, called strike on the inside part of the plate. And Eshman again, a very efficiently ahead of the count 0-2.
That beautiful drop. It starts in, I'd say, maybe about the eyes of the hitter, then a beautiful 12-6 drop on it. Gets you right about the letters.
Out of the stretch. The 0-2 cut on and missed. A 3-pitch strikeout to get out of the bottom of the first. So a hard hit double for Daniel Cuvée, but Caden Eshman picks up where he left off on Saturday. It sits him down. No score through 1 between Brewster and Falmouth.
Whether you own a car, home, business, or investment property, it's critical you keep it secure and protected. Since 1989, our friends at Northeast Insurance Solutions have been the trusted insurance agency to serve the Commonwealth. Visit them on the web at insurewithnortheast.com or at their offices, 100 Ledgewood Place in Rockland.
Billy Barlow will see the middle of this Falmouth lineup after sitting him down 1-2-3 here at the top of the second between the Whitecaps and Commodores. No score or this interdivision matchup. Falmouth from the West Division, Brewster from the East Division. Commodores won't see their first East Division opponent until Saturday in a couple of days when they take a visit to Wareham to take on the Gatemen. It's the four-hitter Landon Moran to start things off in this top of the second inning. Ben Haller alongside Andrew Della Piana, situated a little bit offset, more behind the plate, but offset down the first baseline, kind of halfway between the Falmouth dugout and home plate a little bit. A table right behind the home plate fence. So pretty great view on today. Landon Moran gets started off with a slider outside and in the dirt for ball 1. Get you the defensive alignment for Brewster. It'll be Blake Sear in left, Ty Head in center, Josiah Ragsdale rounds it out in right field. Daniel Cuvée and Carson Curse on the left side of the infield. 1-0 pitch is hit back up the middle and picked up by Curse. I'll make that throw across the diamond in time to Colin Priest awaiting at first base. He's right next to Dalton Wentz at second. And Drew Rogers will receive Barlow. 1 down, nobody on in the top of the second inning as Mike Anu makes his way to the plate. Falmouth got one on in the top of the first inning. Antonio Morales lead-off single before he was eventually doubled up on the bat of Justin Osterhaus. Out of the windup, the first pitch to New. He's first pitch swinging, grounded up the middle once again. This time slower hop, picked up on the run, and a nice throw for out number 2. Beautiful play at short by Carson Curse. Back-to-back plays. He's already made 3 of those, including a double play that he took himself to get a couple outs. And as Ken Schmidt makes his way to the plate, little bump between him and his school catcher, Drew Rogers. Both those Georgia Tech in Atlanta this year. Schmidt only 1 base hit through his first 8 at-bats here in Falmouth. Fastball a bit off the plate for ball 1. Falmouth is being uber aggressive in the first couple of pitches of counts so far through their first 5 at-bats. Schmidt going into his junior season from Marietta, Georgia, not too far. Spent all of his time in Georgia for Georgia Southern and Georgia Tech, and he grounds one up the middle, this time off the glove of Carson Kurse. That's going to be an error. A lot of balls hit towards Kurse ways to start this one off. That was one of the easier plays he'd had to make in these first couple of innings, and it hits off the heel of his glove. Maybe an awkward bounce right before on the lip of the infield grass, but nonetheless, it lets Kent Schmidt reach base. And Falmouth has their second man on in this game. Now here's David McCann, the Virginia Tech catcher. He was crushing them during batting practice. A lot of them went out. One of them, I think, hit our producer, Dan Papillo, in the leg. Was able to shake it off. First pitch is a slider below the zone for ball 1 to him.
He's from the Queens. He's a tough guy, Dan Papillo.
I trust him. McCann from Connecticut was very highly touted prospect. He grounds one to the right side off the diving glove of Wentz. He cannot pick it up in time. That one's going to be ruled a base hit because that was going to be a tough play for Wentz to make anyway, having to dive towards first base. But he cannot haul it in. They're on first and second now for Falmouth after a ball has not left the infield yet in this inning. 2 outs, 2 on, something brewing here for the Commodores. We'll see what they can do with 2 outs with Ben Royo to the plate, still searching for his first base hit of the summer. No score between Falmouth and Brewster. Commodores trying to strike first. Top of the second. Barlow having to work out of the stretch. And he'll take his time. Fastball right on the outside corner, called strike. Make it 0-1. Royo going into his senior year from Corpus Christi, Texas. His first couple of seasons with the Rice Owls before making his way to College Station. 0-1 on that same outside corner, called strike again. He let them both go. He's down 0-2.
And the interesting thing about Barlow is he doesn't throw his slider and fastball all too fast, only topping out at 92 miles per hour, but it's very effective. He used a 4-pitch mix of that slider, sinker, fastball, but those first 3 pitches I just mentioned use about 27% of the time.
Very even balance. He not have one pitch he uses too much. That one bounces in the dirt on a slider, and that'll get away from the catcher, Rogers. That'll let Schmidt get up to third. And McCann to second. So now 2 in scoring position for Falmouth. Commodores are the first team to put a runner on third. And the go-ahead run just 90 feet away. That was just the first ball of the AB, though, so still a 1-2 count on the shortstop, Royo. Barlow gets the sign. Sets at the letters and deals the 1-2. Popped high in the air, tailing out of play. That'll get out of play behind home plate. We do have to keep our head on a swivel back here behind the home plate netting, or fencing, I should say. I initially thought that one was coming towards us. Count will stay at 1-2. Fires home again. Grounded to the left side. This time again at Kurse. He'll pick it up and throw over to first for out number 3. So Carson Kurse has his work cut out for him, but he's able to handle it. Going to the bottom of the second. No score between Falmouth and Brewster.
I'm Ben Royo, shortstop from Texas A&M University, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape League TV.
Each team has put at least a man on base through 1.5 here for Brewster, but no score between the Commodores and the Whitecaps. Setting into the bottom of the second inning of work for Caden Eschman coming up. It'll face 5, 6, 7 in the Brewster lineup. Started things with Dalton Wentz. Now on this offense, couple of base hits already. Brewster just the one last inning on a hard hit double by Daniel Cuvée. But Carson Curse has done a lot of work. The shortstop's already got 4 putouts. That includes a double play and an error. But now the Wake Forest team of Deacon, Dalton Wentz, will step up to the plate and lead things off in the bottom of the second. Eschman, one of the ones that always works out of the stretch, no matter runners on base or not. It's becoming more of a trend, especially for the younger guys in college baseball. Fastball's up, ball 1. Came in at about 90 miles an hour. You talked about how Barlow doesn't have a ton of velocity on that fastball. Eschman's kind of in that same area. Both of those are going to be SEC arms next season. Breaking pitch lands inside, making a 2-0 count. Barlow, though, has that year of experience. It'll be Eschman's first year in the SEC after completing a few seasons at Northern Kentucky in Highland Heights. Fastball at the knees, called strike 1. And feels like the first plate appearance and either start for Eschman that he got behind.
The way he just pumps those fastballs in, he'll break out the curveball once in a while. So impressive.
2-1 breaking pitch. That's that curveball right there. Lands on the inside corner and called strike 2. So right after going down 2-0, works back to make it 2-2.
That combination of fastball, curveball throws it about 90% of the time.
Breaking pitch, swung on and missed. One hand off the bat for Wentz. He almost lost it. That's going to be the 3rd strikeout of the early game for Eschman in just 4 outs. And the first out of this bottom of the second after 7 of them on Saturday.
There was a reason he was top 10 in strikeout percentage this year for the Norse. Just his ability to put away hitters with 2 strikes. We even saw it in that Chatham game as well.
Now it's the big first baseman, Colin Priest. With 1 out, nobody on base. Here in the bottom of the second, no score, Commodores and Whitecaps. Fastball at the knees, called strike 1. This will be that righty on lefty matchup. A few lefties in this Brewster lineup. Priest named a D1 baseball top 30 first baseman in all the country. Lined hard at the glove of Justin Osterhaus, and on one knee he snags it at infield dirt. It was a frustrating play as a hitter. When you hit that one that hard, it's pretty hard off the bat. Just right at Osterhaus. And too quick for Eschman again. That's how the first inning started. A strikeout and a flyout that time. One nothing Brewster lead. We're heading to the 3rd inning from Brewster, Mass. Between Whitecaps and Commodores. A solo home run from Carson Kirsch in the bottom half of the second. Both the Whitecaps on top. 9-1-2 for Falmouth coming up. Carl Schmidt leading things off against Billy Barlow. Fastball up the letters for ball 1. 2 base hits for each team so far, but just a couple of singles for Falmouth. Both of Brewster's hits are for extra bases. 1-0 count goes low. Now 2-0. Schmidt getting 273 in his first few games in Falmouth. The OPS hovering right around 700. Just the 1 RBI. He's looking for his first home run of the year. He had 5 of them in his school season out at Cal Berkeley. 2-0. Hit hard off the end of the bat, but line right into the glove of the first baseman Priest. He grabs it before going to the ground. So more of a soft line out to start this 3rd inning. 1 time through the lineup for Barlow, and he's done a pretty nice job. 2 innings, or 2 1/3 inning, just a couple of base hits, but he has yet to strike out a batter. Something this Falmouth team struggled with the first game of the year. But then the last couple of games, even with the offensive struggles overall, they were putting the ball in play, which is exactly what Jared Saltalamaki wanted to do and wanted out of his roster. But not a lot of strikeouts. Now it's
finally it felt like it all came out Tuesday night. A couple of performances I really like. Bear Harrison obviously.
From playing turf fields at their respective colleges. Of course, I called games in the Big Ten, so that's where a lot of the northern teams start to play. But you get to those nice areas, the Florida schools, the Texas schools, they do have the ability to play grass and dirt. Just depends on the school. Now Osterhaus with the runner on first base and 1 out. Throw over to first to check on Morales, who does have a good bit of speed. Had a couple of stolen bases last year in Winston-Salem. Osterhaus 0 for 1 today, grounded out to short, actually grounded to a double play. His first time up. Fastball at the letters for ball 1 to Osterhaus. Talk about the athlete that Justin Osterhaus was too. He was the quarterback of his high school as well, obviously a very talented baseball player, but at a high school team that went 11-0 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was a starting quarterback, started every game that season, 1-0, another chopper to the right side, picked up by Wentz, just the throw to first, no throw to second, but he does get Osterhaus gone. And record the second out of this top of the third inning. Another man in scoring position for Falmouth, actually the game tying run with Antonio Morales, who can run pretty well. And Bear Harrison, who has 6 RBIs, that leads the team to the first 4 games at the plate. 1-0 Brewster lead here in the top of the third inning in Game 5 of the Cape Cod League season. First pitch to Bear, fastball on the outside corner, called strike 1. Harrison going into his junior year from Danville, California. Just 42 starts as a freshman and 42 starts last year. So pretty consistent playing time through the first couple of seasons for him. Now he chops one to the third baseline, picked up by Cuvée, and a throw to first. It's a one-hopper, but a nice pick at first base by Colin Priest to retire the side. 2.5 through. Falmouth's put one on in every inning so far. None across, though. They trail by 1. We'll see the Whitecaps hit in the bottom of the third inning here on Cape League TV. Falmouth out hitting Brewster through the first 2.5 innings, but trail 1-0 after a Carson Curse home run in the bottom of the second. Commodores trying to hand the Whitecaps their first loss of the 2025 year here on Cape League TV. Ben Haller alongside Andrew Della Piana, and Caden Eschman still on the mound. Now heading into his third inning of work, where he will see 9-1-2 in the Whitecap lineup, with Ty Head leading things off. Eschman, it's been a very efficient first 8 batters, despite the double and the home run. Has at least worked quickly through the first 6 outs that he's recorded. Now righty on lefty matchup to start things off in the home half of the third with the center fielder Ty Head. Fastball way outside for ball 1. Head, one of the younger guys going into his sophomore year. It's an older Whitecap team. Played his freshman year at North Carolina State. Breaking ball below the knees for ball 1. Talked about all the ACC guys, Head and Sosa, both guys who played at NC State a season ago. A couple of Georgia Tech guys. And Kirsten Rogers, Priest from Clemson, Lentz from Wake Forest. Now fastball went outside. So Eschman again down on the count 3-0. It's the first time he's got to a 3-ball count. Fastball called strike off the plate. I think it kind of gives you kind of the illusion that Eshman works quickly. Obviously, he is very efficient, but also just physically and timing-wise, he pitches very quick too. He does not waste a lot of time with the pitch clock. But Head's got a hitter's count here, 3-1. A fastball just a touch low for ball 4. So the first walk that Eshman gives up. And now the Whitecaps put a runner on first base. It's actually the first runner that's been on first for Brewster. But it brings up the top of the lineup with Josiah Ragsdale for the second time today. Brewster looking for the first big inning to try to add on to their lead. But Ragsdale 0 for 1 today. He struck out to start things off for the Brewster offense. Kicks and fires the first pitch of the count, called strike on the outside part of the plate. And at belt level and an 0-1 count. Ragsdale spent his first couple of seasons at Iona, where he led the MAAC in stolen bases, throw over to first, not in time, and was 4th in the NCAA in triples a couple of years ago with 7 of them. That is very hard, and you're playing, 50 college games, 7 triples. Runner's going to take off, but that one's fouled off right back towards us. So that'll force Head to go back to first base and put Ragsdale at an 0-2 hole. After his first 2 seasons at Iona, he transferred to Boston College, where he started all 56 games. Made the All-ACC tournament team. Hit .319 with a .919 OPS. Still an 0-2 count with a runner on first base and no one out. Fires home, fastball up and away, kind of a throwaway pitch. But you can tell Eshman is using that fastball as his put-away pitch just as much as he's using the curveball. A lot of people like to think that curveball is his best pitch. Throw over to first to check on Head.
And that is the great thing about having a put-out pitch like that, where it changes the eye level of the hitter so quickly that we're expecting a fastball to ballot off, and then you break out a 12-6 curve, and that's just gross.
One fouled off. It's not that most guys have. It's not that it's too rare to have 2 put-away pitches like that. But when they're as different as a 4-seam fastball and a 12-6 curve, I mean, really changes the eye level of hitters. Ragsdale still alive with a 1-2. The righty on lefty matchup. Tied for 3rd a season ago in the ACC in stolen bases. Fastball high and off the glove of David McCann. Head gets to second. He's wanting third. McCann lost it and has to retrieve it all the way towards the dugout, and that'll let Head go all the way to third base. He's now 90 feet away with nobody out of the inning.
Just really a double whammy there for Falmouth, where it looked like it was going to be a clear stolen base for Ty. Head either way, got a phenomenal jump off of first, but just deflects off the glove of McCann. He can't find it as it squirts down the third base line.
That was 1-2 where I think McCann hit off his glove, then it got away, and then immediately saw the runner going, so his eyes jumped to second, so that's why it took him so long to find the ball. And him not finding it is the reason that Head standing at third base, in my opinion. 2-2 count, ropes down the right field line. That's going to be trouble. All the way to the fence. It one-hops the wall. An easy 90 feet for Head. And it's picked up and right by Morales as Ragsdale gets to second with an RBI double to give Brewster some insurance. Now a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 3rd.
We mentioned the put-out pitch. It's the fastball, it's the curveball, but when you guess right on that curveball and you sit back on it, you can really drive it a long way. And just phenomenal piece of hitting there by Ragsdale, sitting back on that and just taking the baseball out to right.
So Ragsdale's got himself his 4th RBI of the summer so far. Whitecaps couple in each one in each of the last 2 innings, still in the bottom of the 3rd here. This one fouled off of the first pitch to Blake Sear. Kind of alluded to it at the end of his first at-bat. He was the hero after hitting a 2-run go-ahead home run and Sunday's matchup between these two teams. And they had eventually add on some insurance to make it a 6-3 win, but they didn't need the insurance. Would have won 4-3 on just that 2-run home run from Sear. And he is the only, at least last season, one of the lineup that did not play in the ACC. Played his college ball at Florida a season ago, but it did start in the ACC at Miami. So he's played all his college in the state of Florida, way out in front of a breaking pitch, and he's down 0-2. But he was named a freshman All-American all the way back in 2023, where he was on the All-ACC freshman team. 57 starts that year, all in left field. This ball bounces way in front of the plate. They had a nice block by David McCann behind the dish. For ball one on the count, 1-2. They had a 21 on base streak to open up this most recent season. Obviously, a team like Florida playing a very difficult schedule, too. Those are against some tough opponents. Had 9 homers this past year. For the 1-2, Eshman throws back to second base. They'll rotate. Check on Head. Or excuse me, Ragsdale. Head scored on the Ragsdale double. Still nobody out in the spot of the third. One-two pitch, way high again. Almost brings McCann out of the crouch. Sear flied out to left his first time up. Breaking pitch, beautiful curveball right down the middle of the zone. Sear knew it as he walks back to the third base dugout. A beautiful pitch for Caden Eshman at his 5th strikeout and just 2 1/3 so far. And that's a big first out, keeping the runner at second base as a 3-hitter Cuvée comes up. And that is that curveball that you were talking about. Before Cuvée sees his first pitch, Ragsdale pretty far off the second base bag. We talked about how high in the ACC he was in stolen bases. Did steal third a couple of times, Ragsdale. Now breaking pitch that doesn't break it up and ends up at eye level. Cuvée has got a very big frame. He's standing about 6'5". Going into his junior year at Fort Lauderdale, or at, excuse me, at Miami from Fort Lauderdale. Now slider comes in inside. Start out with 2-0 count.
6'4", 235 pounds, just a really large looming figure, and we saw it even on that first swing he had where he belted it down the left field line for that double. Just when he puts all of his power into his swing, the ball really travels.
And for someone that big, he moves really well too. Changeup almost hit him inside, and Eshman's lost this count 3-0. Maybe a little subconscious thinking back to that hard double on the third base line, his first at bat. Runner on second base, 1 out. He got a run in this spot of the third inning. 2-0, Brewster lead. Breaking ball, this time hit hard into center, but New's going to come up and make an easy play for the second out. So hard off the bat, but this time playable, and 2 down. The strikeout and the fly out for Eshman. He's an out away from getting out of this third. Now it's Alex Sosa, the DH. Another player in this extremely talented catcher's room. I mean, these might be the 2 best catcher rooms in the whole league. You look at Brewster's side, 2 of them in the starting lineup today, with Sosa getting the start as the DH. And we've talked about Drew Rogers, but also Carson Tinney. It's in the portal from Notre Dame. Fastball a bit below the knees for ball 1. And then on Falmouth side, you also have 2 catchers in the lineup. David McCann getting the start behind the plate. Bear Harrison, the DH, with Mark Quattrani on the bench. 0 pitch. Runner takes off. The ball was low, and McCann cannot grab it cleanly. Don't see a lot of runners take off for third with 2 outs, but Ragsdale's got that much speed. He stands 90 feet away now with a 2-0 count. It's his second stolen base on Falmouth this year. Had one back on Sunday. Breaking pitch, cut on and missed. Another beautiful curveball from Eschman. Cuvée. Sosa coming off another pretty impressive season in terms of playing time. Started almost every game a year ago for NC State and an OPS around 900. 13 multi-RBI games. That led the Wolfpack. And he started all 52. I think we talked about it on Sunday as well. Usually you see those stats. Catcher's usually not involved. This one kind of broken bat foul ball. It'll be grabbed at third base by Carl Schmidt for out number 3. So Brewster gets some insurance on an RBI double for the leadoff hitter Josiah Ragsdale. Falmouth will try to get the bats going as the 4th inning comes around here on Cape League TV.
The 99 Restaurant and Pub is proud to be a sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League this summer. Visit your local 99 and try their famous colossal lobster rolls, piled high on grilled brioche and served either hot and buttered or with just the right amount of mayo and celery to go along with the fries and coleslaw. Visit your local 99 restaurant this summer today. You gotta love the Nines.
I'm Carl Schmidt, utility player from the University of California, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape League TV.
Way through here at Stony Brook Field, the Brewster Whitecaps. So the 2-0 lead over Falmouth, trying to keep that record perfect and look for their 5th win through 5 on the year. Falmouth sitting at a perfect 500-2-2 record so far. Both wins on the road, both losses at home. One of those two with this Whitecaps team. Ben Haller alongside Andrew Delapiana. It'll be the middle third of this Falmouth lineup, coming up for the second time. 3 innings so far for the Florida man, Billy Barlow. And he has not given up a run. He's given up 3 base hits. He has yet to walk a batter. One's reached on air as well. Moran will start things off with a fastball taken off the plate. 4-1, first time up for him. Grounded out to short where Carson Kearse has gotten a lot of action. 4 putouts already for him. Breaking pitch at the knees, called strike 1. Very close call. We were talking about it though. 3 innings through so far for the Falmouth offense. 7 groundouts already. That's including a base hit that was kind of a slow grounder and Falmouth hitter reaching by an error. So Barlow's doing a nice job keeping the ball on the ground, keeping it low in the zone.
And forcing hitters to go down and get it as well. Falmouth utilized a lot of the fly ball on Tuesday.
2-1 count here for Moran. He tips one into the dirt and then off the mask of Rogers behind him. That'll leave the count up at 2-2.
That's exactly what Lucas Littoral was doing in that 6, where Falmouth put up 9 runs in that frame, including a home run by this guy at home plate.
Moran, a very consistent first 3 years at Stetson. His freshman year, one of the best ones, maybe the best year for him. He was made the All-ASUN freshman team as a fastball ends up above the zone to run the count full. A 900 OPS in that first year. 5th in the conference in on-base percentage. Lines and fires the payoff. Foul back of the net. We'll do it again. Batting average dipped down this most recent season to 269, but still at 313 in ASUN games. So it was that non-conference play where he struggled in a little bit. Lines and fires the payoff again. It's a breaking ball inside for ball 4. So there is the first walk that Barlow has given up today. And it's a leadoff one. It's the second time that Falmouth will put the leadoff man on base. Go back to the first inning where Morales singled and then was eventually doubled up on the next play.
And it was a hard hit ball right at Curse, too, as one of his 4 putouts early on.
Runner on first base with nobody out. Game tying run at the plate of the Brewster 2-0 lead in the top of the 4th. Breaking ball called strike just on the outside corner. Barlow's done a nice job on that outside corner to righties, inside corner to lefties. That's where he's been living today. Both fastballs and breaking balls. And New, another one of them, who grounded out to short his first time up. Throw over to first. Where Landon Moran, forward cleanup hitter, does have a good deal of speed. 9 stolen bases a season to go at Stetson.
Falmouth has been very aggressive on the base pass already this season with 6 to tie the most in the league.
Feels like the start of the year the whole league has, as this one's roped into left field, looking up Sear, and all he could do is watch. Mike Anu goes yard, a 2-run shot to tie things up in the top of the 4th inning. Anu's second home run in as many games, and he's starting to heat up. Brings both him and Moran in. This 3-4-5 in the Falmouth lineup is doing some damage these last couple of games. That's what New does, just power on power on power. 14 home runs a season to go for Marshall, with 48 RBIs. Still nobody out, at a clean slate here for Ken Schmidt. As the fastball runs outside of the first pitch to him. First runs that Barlow's given up this year. And Falmouth back on top in the hits category as well, out hitting him 4-3. Breaking pitch a bit below the knees. There haven't really been a whole lot of Falmouth games so far that have kind of seesawed, gone back and forth a little bit. But against the Whitecaps, had the lead for most of the game until the 9th inning. 2-0 pitch, cut on and missed by Schmidt behind the plate. 2-1 count on the 89-mile-an-hour slider.
And before that home run, it felt like in the first 3 innings, Falmouth was getting runners on base, chipping away, getting guys in scoring position, but ultimately not bringing them in. But it only took the leadoff single there for New to go yard.
Ken Schmidt reached on an error his first time up. Slider below the knees this time. He's got the hitter's 3-1 count. He is somebody who already had to make a pretty tough transition going from Sun Belt Conference to the ACC from his freshman to sophomore year. Kind of talked about how the pitching depth was maybe the biggest difference. Fouls it off the first baseline. Says everybody's got a good Friday starter, but once you get to Sunday and then into both teams' bullpens later in the series is when teams, you start to realize some of that pitching depth in the ACC as opposed to the Sun Belt. And this is not a Sun Belt conference that really, it shouldn't be considered a mid-major in baseball. It's probably the 4th best conference in college baseball. Now the Pac-12, no longer a thing. Breaking ball hit hard right at Dalton Wentz. Sticks his glove above his head and makes the catch for the first out of this top of the 4th inning.
Can maybe make that conversation. It's a little bit better than the Big Ten right now.
Yeah,
4 teams getting into the tournament.
I counted the Big Ten in that too.
Yeah.
I think Sun Belt right now, and obviously there's some bias in there as a Big Ten guy. I think, Sun Belt might be that next up after SEC, ACC, Big 12. Now it's David McCann for the second time today. In the left-handed batter's box. Swings and misses at strike one.
And even those 4 teams that got in for the Big Ten, what was it, 2 or 3 of them were formerly Pac-12 members as well? Yeah. UCLA.
If you looked at the Big Ten standings, 4 of the top 5 teams were the 4 teams that entered. Breaking pitch hit high in the air. Shallow outfield. It's the shortstop Curse going over and calling everyone off. And he makes the play for the second out. So Curse gets involved again, this time on a pop-up. Now Ben Royo, last hope to keep the top of the 4th going. 2-2 tie after the 2-run shot from Mike Anu. He's going to swing and foul off the first pitch. Looked up at the home plate umpire's chest. Chris Bain looks like he's doing okay. One hit off of a hop. Royal also grounded out to short his first time up. Feels like he could say that about 50%. There's a 50% chance first time up, the whatever hitter it is, grounded to short. That one gets away all the way to the backstop on a fastball in the dirt.
And Carson Curse feels like he's already been involved in every aspect of this game with the handful of putouts, the home run as well.
He initially gave Brewster the lead back in the 2nd inning. That lead is now squandered. 2-2. 1-1, swung on and missed again from Royo. He's down to 1-2. He's got 3 strikeouts in his first 8 at-bats of the year. Still looking for his first base hit this summer, getting his 3rd start in 5 games. Winds and fires the 1-2, hard grounder on a couple of hops, picked up by Cuvée, and a throw across the diamond for out number 3. So the 3 go down in order, but not before a 2-run shot from Mike Anu ties things up in this top of the 4th inning. We got a brand new ball game from Brewster and Stony Brook Field. Don't go anywhere. We got a good rest of this one on Cape League TV. Caden Espen, for the first time since the 2nd inning, will step to the mound of the tie ball game. 2-2 is the score in Brewster, Massachusetts, between the Whitecaps and the Commodores. Ben Haller alongside Andrew Della Piana for a matchup that I think we thought to be maybe a bit of a pitcher's duel, but both offenses showing out a little bit. It combined 7 base hits and the 4 runs. Only 1 error so far on the defensive side as we reach the bottom of the 4th. I'll start with a righty on lefty matchup. Dalton Wentz will get things going in the home half of the 4th inning. Struck out swinging his first time up. Eshman already 5 strikeouts through 3 innings of work, and he offers a breaking ball below the knees for ball 1. Wentz going into his sophomore year from Madison Heights, Virginia. A .316 batting average a season ago for Wake Forest. Anthony's called strike 1 again, 1-1. It's exciting to see the demographic of players in the Cape Cod League. There's a lot of them on this Brewster team. The specific age that's freshman to sophomore year, these are all the guys who surprised a lot of teams in a power conference and had awesome freshman years and will end up being the best players in college baseball and sophomore, junior seasons before they're draft eligible. Of course, you got to be a junior or a draft eligible sophomore through 21. This one roped hard on the third base line, tails foul all the way into the Brewster dugout, even in a 2-2 count.
How about majority ACC players as well? 16 on this roster right now for Brewster. I mean, game one of the season, all 12 players in the lineup, that including hitting and pitching, were from the ACC.
Right. Eshman, definitely one of the older guys, though, in the league. Spent 3 seasons at Northern Kentucky, heading into his 4th year at the University of Kentucky. Fastball at the knees, called strike 3. Another beautiful spot for Caden Eshman in his 6th strikeout of the game. And I should clarify on that first statement, it's not his 4th year at Kentucky. His 4th year in college will be at Kentucky. He's not heading into his 7th season. Of course, those are things, just not a lot of guys, not a lot of those players are playing in
college
Cape Cod.
football nowadays, I feel like,
true.
than college baseball. And college basketball as well.
Yeah. Now it's the big Colin Priest with went out, nobody on base. Fastball way below the knees for ball 1, 91 miles an hour. That's the thing about Eshman, fastball hasn't really tailed. He only went 4 innings his first start, but by the 4th inning it was the same exact velocity from the first. 1-0 breaking pitch, change up just inside, I think was the call, maybe high. Nonetheless, it's a 2-0 count for Priest. Started his college career in Ann Arbor at Michigan. He was named to the All-Big Ten freshman team for Tracy Smith. Fastball grounded down the first baseline, foul. Picked up by Schmidt in foul territory. But he had 1,000 fielding percentage a season ago at Clemson as their first baseman. Batting average a bit low, which is .240, but he had 17 bombs, 52 RBIs. Breaking ball, called strike 2 on the outside part of the plate. Now we're even at 2-2 with an out and nobody on. Tied 2-2 game in the bottom of the 4th inning between the Whitecaps and Commodores. They'll kick and fire the 2-2. Grounded right at the second baseman Osterhaus, and they'll pick it up and make the easy throw out of first for the second out. So 3 of the first 4 innings, Eshman has retired the first 2 very easily. Go back to the 3rd, though. He gave up a walk and then a double that brought Head, the one who walked in. But each of the first 2 innings after he got 2 outs was a double from Daniel Cuvée and then a solo shot for Carson Curse. Now 2 outs, nobody on base for Curse. Once again, 1 for 1 today with that solo shot. Fastball off the plate for ball 1. He's 1 for 1. He also has what feels like 85 putouts in the first 4 innings of this game. He's even made an error. So fair share of ground outs, even a pop-up. Fastball at his knees, called strike 1. He can handle it, though. Someone who really surprised. He wasn't a huge recruit out of high school necessarily, and he ended up playing 50 games, or starting 50 games as a freshman at Georgia Tech, which kind of came as a surprise. Cut on and missed on a slider on the outside part of the plate, down 1-2. And that jump from freshman to sophomore year is what really impressed. He got 313 a season ago, an OPS around 900. Not a huge power guy, just 4 home runs in Atlanta. And he swings and misses at this changeup for strike 3. 7 strikeouts through 4 innings here for Caden Eshman. Brand new ball game. Things tied up at 2-2 as we head to the 5th here at Stony Brook Field. Andrew Della Piana has us the rest of the way of the play-by-play here on Cape League TV.
Authentic Cape Cod dining is right down the road at Jim's Clam Shack. Open seasonally for over 50 years, Jim's Clam Shack features oceanfront views with all of the lobster, shrimp, burgers, and clams you could ask for. Stop by Jim's Clam Shack, located at 227 Quinton Avenue right here in Falmouth, to hit your next meal out of the park. That's Jim's Clam Shack at 227 Quinton Avenue, Falmouth.
I'm Connor Lynn. I'm a left-handed pitcher from Northern Kentucky University, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape
Welcome back to
TV.
Stony Brook Field here in Brewster, Massachusetts. We are tied at 2 apiece between the Falmouth Commodores and the Brewster Whitecaps after 4 innings of play. Back alongside my good friend Ben Haller, I'm Andrew Delapiana. The righty Billy Barlow still on the bump for Brewster. Has yet to record a strikeout through his 4 innings of work. Did allow that 2-run home run last inning to Micah New. But it's that pitching battle we were expecting coming in, Ben, and it's delivered so far.
Yeah, Billy Barlow has been great despite the no strikeouts. That's not a surprise. If you go back to what Barlow does, he is a ground ball pitcher, and that is, something that he did extraordinarily well in the first 4 innings of this game. You look at his starts for Florida, or his appearances for Florida, only 46 strikeouts and 46 innings pitched. It's an SEC in college baseball overall that's trending towards an average of much more 1 strikeout per inning.
His first pitch of the righty Carl Schmidt hits him, grazes him just in the elbow, and it's a free 90 feet for Schmidt to start the top of the 5th.
The other thing that, for the most part, Barlow's been doing well is no free 90s. Gave up a walk to start the 4th inning. That was the only free pass given up by Barlow. The defense gave up one on an error back in the 2nd inning.
Flips the lineup back to the top to the lefty Antonio Morales. Top 5 tied at 2, scoreless in this frame so far. First pitch to Morales is a swing and a miss right through the fastball at 91 miles per hour. Morales, his 3rd time around in the Falmouth order. 2 for 2 so far with a pair of singles.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned it at the very beginning of the broadcast after he got his first base hit. He's not someone who's, going to get a ton of extra base hits, but exactly the kind of guy you want in the leadoff spot. Just gets on base, and not only gets on base, has a lot of speed. I mean, you combine those 2 things. That's exactly what a coach wants. They're kind of getting into this new era of baseball where, it doesn't matter as much the difference between someone who gets on base. Some teams just like having, your best hitter in the leadoff spot to get the most at-bats. That's what the Dodgers do with Shohei. But Soltolamakia seems more that old school, wants to get his guys on base, put the ball in play.
Second check over at first from Schmidt. The snap tag not there in time. 2 looks over at Schmidt. Did have a handful of stolen bases this past season as a redshirt sophomore at Cal. Morales digs back in with his left foot all the way back in the batter's box. Barlow comes set at the belt. Is 0-1. Morales spoils it off down the left field line and out of the ballpark foul.
Someone that's going to fit really well in the Matt Swope offense as well. He is going to have plenty of power hitters behind him at Maryland next season.
Joining a Maryland program that's going through a little bit of a rebuilding stage, if you will. 0-2 from the righty. Just a moment, another pickoff move to first. Schmidt back in safely with the right hand. And that Falmouth jersey in all black is very quickly covered in dirt. He'll take another 3-step lead off of first. Barlow gives him another check, like the sign from his catcher, Drew Rogers. Another check over at first, back in safely. A lot of action over at first with Schmidt. As he keeps getting picked on over there.
For good reason, he's got a lot of speed too. One of the faster third basemen you're going to see.
Here is the 0-2. Jaken just outside by Morales. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's what I like about Morales too a lot, especially in the leadoff spot, is his plate discipline. It's what helps him be one of those guys that just doesn't strike out a whole lot. Big league take on an 0-2. You're trying to protect that fastball. Seemed close, but a nice take.
The 1-2. Breaking ball. Morales just gets a piece off the end of the bat and sends it into the Brewster dugout down the third base side. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nobody gone here in the top of the 5th. Falmouth and Brewster still tied at 2. Whitecaps had the first 2 runs of the ball game back in the 2nd and 3rd. Then Micah New tying it up in the last inning for Falmouth. 2nd home run in as many games. Another 1-2 on the way. Morales fooled on a breaking ball in the dirt, and he's down swinging for out number 1. And the first strikeout as well for Billy Barlow comes in the 5th.
It's very rare your first strikeout comes to the 3rd time through the lineup. A lot of times that's when hitters start seeing you best, but I mean, these are very talented pitchers in this league. Barlow, obviously, no exception. And you're living down in the zone the whole time. Sometimes you're going to get a guy to go golfing. That's what he did with Morales there.
Another lefty digs in the form of Justin Osterhaus with the runner on first. Now one gone, top 5. Check over on Schmidt. Back in safely once more. He gives a couple of words to his dugout saying, "Can you tell that guy to stop throwing at my direction, please?"
Can't wait to get a level higher in the professional play when they limit those things.
Here is the first pitch to the lefty. It is belted high and deep into center field. Had a couple steps to his right underneath it and reels it in for out number 2. Osterhaus has been putting pitches in play early in the count, even that first at-bat when he grounded into that 6-3 double play, and also with a one-pitch fly out here in the 5th. 2 outs, last chance for Falmouth in this frame, and it's in the form of the righty, Bear Harrison. 0 for 2 in tonight's ball game. Barlow the check over at first. In his first offering, is taken just below the knees. Schmidt takes off for second with the ball in the dirt, and he's back in safely. And after about a handful, maybe 6 pickoff moves to first, Schmidt advances up 90 feet.
Good decision making by Schmidt too. He obviously had to make a tough read. He did not have, necessarily a great jump. Decided to go just when he realized that ball didn't get too far from Rogers, but just enough to where he felt like he could get to second.
Harrison coming off a 5 RBI performance back on Tuesday, was the Cape League player of the game. And his time is called before the 1-0, and a pitch clock violation goes against Barlow.
Carl Schmidt thought it was a balk too. He was about halfway down the second base slide. A couple of years ago, usually when a second base umpire paused in the middle of a pitch like that, it was a balk, but now that's not always the case.
As Bob Dylan once said, the times they are a-changin'. The 2-0. It's a fastball. Harrison pops it up in the infield grass. Cuvée calls off everyone, and it drops right in front of him. Not sure if he just had a bad read on it, but Harrison reaches first safely, and Falmouth has runners at the corners with 2 outs.
It was a very bad read. I was confused for a second. Out of the air, it really looked like that was Rogers' ball, the catcher. And it was an early call from Cuvée, the third baseman. And he was very far from the ball when he initially called it off. He had no chance. The fastest third baseman in baseball, I don't think, has a chance at that ball.
Just had so much spin off the end of the bat. It looked like Cuvée was expecting it to spin backwards towards his direction, but it just continued to spin forward. They call that a base hit, and Falmouth with a chance to take its first lead of the game with the lefty Landon Moran.
And it's a nice break, too, because if there was no call off there, I think that's an easy play for Rogers to make behind the plate.
Absolutely. Barlow steps off and is going to ask for a new baseball from home plate umpire Chris Bain, and he'll get one. Moran started off the 4th inning after that leadoff walk driven in by the 2-run shot to Micah New. Moran did homer back on Tuesday, drilling a ball to right field, and now Brewster is going to have a meeting of the minds after Barlow asks for the new baseball, steps off, and the Whitecaps will have a quick conversation. Runners at first and third, 2 gone in the top of the 5th. Commodores and Whitecaps even at 2 apiece. Feels eerily similar to what we saw between the last meeting between these two teams on Sunday, where Falmouth took the early lead. Brewster would come back, and especially in that 9th inning when the Whitecaps had a 4-run frame, won that ball game 6-3. But of course, these two teams known for their back and forth abilities, and we're seeing on full display today.
It really felt like in that game too, Brewster's offense had been, they were really quiet in the last 5 or 6 innings before that 9th. It just had one of those feels like, Falmouth was in a very good position just because of how well their pitchers were performing. But Michael Gillen just lost it in that 9th.
Well, that meeting is broken up. Barlow back to the bump. The righty stands on the first base side of the mound, ready to address the lefty, Landon Moran. Comes set of the belt. Kicks and deals. Moran takes a strike, called at the letters, a fastball right at the top of the zone, 89 miles per hour. Harrison, the runner on first, Schmidt on third. A long look in from Barlow. The 0-1. Moran, a chopper down the first base line, going to be a tough play for Barlow off the bump, and he lost possession of the ball, and a run's going to come in and score. Barlow's momentum was taking him towards first base, never kept his eye on the baseball. And how about the ball staying in the infield for Falmouth, really creating some serious damage. It's 3-2 Commodores in the fifth.
That's going to count as they just got the signal that counts as an E1, and that was one where I think Barlow just was too patient with it, just took too much time getting to grab it, and then he got sped up once he got close to the ball. That's when you got to attack it for the pitcher. It's a slow roller at you. You don't have all the time in the world, especially with the speed that Moran has. That one's a Falmouth lead, and Lance Davis warming up at the Brewster bullpen. It's been warming up for a decent amount of time, the righty.
Mike Anu takes a first pitch strike. Runner at second is Harrison. Falmouth 3-2 with 2 outs in the top of the fifth. The 0-1 from the righty. Anu takes it a good looking spot right on the outer third as it nipped the black. 0-2. You just think about how this inning has gone so far. Harrison had the infield single. Schmidt was the hit by pitch victim. Moran gets to first on the E1. And a little small ball for Falmouth. Here's the 0-2. There's a breaking ball. Tails outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Mike Anu, someone I've, obviously it's such a small sample size, 5 games into the year, but I think every game so far, he's just looked more comfortable before he obviously broke out on Tuesday.
1-2, rips it down the line, and it is just foul. Hits just to the left of the third base bag, and that ball landed just about even with the base. And the interesting to note on that is that was home plate umpire call Chris Brain, because third base umpire Jeff Merzell standing just in front of second with runners at first and second. So the count remains 1-2. Barlow asking from another pitch from his youngster catcher, the sophomore Drew Rogers. He likes that pitch, turns and fires. New skies it into deep left field once again. Sierra go back to the track, to the wall, right at the fence, and he makes the grab this time. New hit a home run to that similar spot just a little bit earlier, but Sierra makes the grab on this one. Falmouth reclaims the lead, or should say take the lead for the first time in the top of the fifth, thanks to one run off of 1 hit, 1 error with the 2 left on base. We go to the bottom half of the fifth. Falmouth 3, Brewster 2. We'll be right back on Cape League TV.
I'm Connor Lynn. I'm a left-handed pitcher from Northern Kentucky University, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape League TV.
The guy you just heard from, Connor Lynn, gets the ball for Falmouth, the first arm at the bullpen. The same sequence that we saw in the season opener back on Saturday at Chatham for the two Northern Kentucky Norsemen. With Connor Lynn, the lefty, getting the baseball, with Falmouth leading 3-2 in the bottom of the fifth. Scheduling to face 8, 9, and 1 of this Whitecaps lineup. And Ben, when we last saw Connor Lynn back on Saturday, was another masterful performance following Caden Eschman, where he went 4 scoreless innings of work.
Yeah, he was awesome. In some ways, depending which way you look at it, might have been better than Eschman on Saturday. Not that it's a competition, obviously. 4 innings for both of them, but Lynn did it in about 20 less pitches than Eschman did it. He was very efficient, didn't have as many strikeouts as Eschman, but he worked quickly, left the ball on the ground, left the ball down in the zone, kind of like what Billy Barlow's doing for Brewster.
That closes the book on Eschman. He goes 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts, following up the 7 he had back on Saturday. First to meet him is the righty Drew Rogers, the first offering from the southpaw. Starts him out with a ball just on the outer half.
Always good to maybe get some confidence a little bit. Obviously, you know, in the Cape League, it's very talented lineups top to bottom, but get you started with an 8-9-1 in the lineup.
1-0. The breaking ball way outside. 2 balls, no strikes to Drew Rogers, one of the 6 strikeout victims for Eschman in his 4 innings of work. That came back in the second frame, where Brewster took a 1-0 lead. 2-0. Taken just below the knees. 3 balls and no strikes. It was actually the first time this season the Whitecaps scored first in a ball game, despite that 4-0 record, and it's their first 4-game win streak since 2022. The 3-0 is take all the way from the righty Rogers. Clips the outer half.
Yeah, Rogers still trying to find his footing this summer. 0 for 6 and just 6 at-bats for him. Does have an RBI walk.
Hitters count at 3-1. The pitch is a breaking ball. It's inside. Check down to first for the swing. And Ben DiCostanzo says no, he did not. And it's a 5-pitch walk for Rogers to begin the 5th.
Already a worse start to this appearance than what we saw from him against Chatham.
Shade coming over home plate just a little bit as the infield in the sun. Lefty on lefty with Ty Head out of the 9 spot for Brewster. The runner on first, Rogers. Nobody on bottom 5. Falmouth 3, Brewster 2. Lynn's first offering is a breaking ball. Nicely tailed in. Started in and then broke out at the last moment for a called strike.
Yeah, I am interested to see how late we can play tonight. So the first 2 home games for Brewster both got called after 8. The first one I was told they got called at 8:34. Second one about 8:53. But both of those were cloudy nights, so you know there are not a lot of clouds in the sky. Hoping it can go later tonight. We are on about that perfect 3-hour pace. 6:31 right now as the bottom of the 5th just got started.
Count 0-2 after Head takes another sliding strike. Lynn takes a look over at first, and the 0-2 goes back to the breaking ball, and Head gets a piece of it off the end of the bat and out of the ballpark.
And the home team always going to be at the disadvantage in that kind of situation too, because you know you got to finish the whole inning. You got to let the offense hit too, but obviously offense going to be hitting later than the visiting team would.
Deep breath from Lynn. Another 0-2 goes to the fastball this time, just off the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Of course, we did our research before we came here. Sunset scheduled for 8:18 tonight, with last light at 8:48. So somewhere within that time frame, we're thinking.
You did your research. You don't have to give me credit for that. That's good.
Head punches it out to left field, going to dunk in for a base hit. So it's a leadoff walk for Rogers, followed by the single out to left by Ty Head. The first 2 men are on for Brewster in the 5th.
Well, just as I was talking about maybe some confidence with the 8-9-1 of the lineup, those 2 guys do that. I mean, this is such a talented roster. Ty Head just does anything. He's the kind of guy who will do anything for your team. Just pitch low in the zone, just pulls it a little bit, shallow left field, not trying to do too much with it. Scoreboard out here.
Runners at first and second, nobody gone, top 5. Josiah Ragsdale digs in from the left side. The first offering from Lynn is inside, gets past the catcher McCann, and that's an easy 90 feet for Rogers to go to third, and Ty Head to go up to second. 2 ducks on the pond for Brewster. Ragsdale, an RBI double his last time up back in the third. That scored Head. Make this a 2-0 Brewster lead. 1-0. Half-hearted swing from Ragsdale. Did he go around? And he did not. Jeffrey Merzell down that third base side says he did not.
Is Jeffrey Merzell the designated Falmouth Commodores umpire? That's what it feels like.
He was the home plate umpire back on Tuesday. He was behind the dish on Sunday as well. 2-0. Ragsdale, a hard cut and a miss at the fastball. Lynn, a much-needed strike to get back in the count. 2 balls, 1 strike. Rogers, the runner on third, Head at second. Still nobody gone the top of the 5th with the Doors leading 3-2. Here's the 2-1. Ragsdale, check swing once more. Merzell says he went around this time, though. And Ragsdale having a tough time making up his mind at the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, this is such a big at-bat, too, to maybe determine the rest of the outing for Lynn. I mean, you still have time to bounce back with 2 runners in scoring position, nobody out, even if a run scores.
Here is that 2-2. Goes to the breaking ball, dips just outside. Ragsdale was thinking about it once more. Count full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1 swing of the bat, and the Whitecaps are right back in this ball game. Ragsdale already with 3 RBIs in the early going of this season. Here's the payoff pitch. Breaking ball, swing and a miss from Ragsdale, and a huge strikeout for Connor Lynn.
Yeah, to me that just shows the kind of poise and the mentality that Lynn has. I mean, it is so easy to get so intimidated by some of the hitters you're facing, especially someone who spent his first, couple of seasons at Cincinnati before they were in the Big 12, and then Northern Kentucky in the Horizon League, and you're facing, a ton of ACC bats.
First pitch of the righty, Blake Seary goes after it, fooled on the changeup. It was way out in front of that one.
But that was one of the questions I had for Lynn after his 4-inning great appearance against Chatham, and when he got the win, was just how much did you think about, or did you play into just the hitters that you're facing? They said didn't think about it a lot.
Another 0-1, another same result. Change up in the dirt, Sear swings right through it. And his momentum took him all the way out to the top of the dirt here at home plate. Quickly 0-2. Rogers at third, Head at second, 1 gone. Here is the 0-2. Popped up, middle infield. Osterhaus converging. Royal calls him off at short. He makes the grab with his feet just on the infield grass, and a huge second out for Connor Lynn, who's 1 out away from getting out of this jam.
Yeah, I mean, hard to overstate what he's doing, and a conversation right here too. But those are 2 huge outs in a 1-run game, and the part of the lineup again, you get Ragsdale and Sear.
It's pitching coach Todd Carroll, who is out there for Falmouth. Drew Rogers started off this inning with the leadoff walk, then followed by the single by Head. There was runners at first and second with nobody gone. Then a pass ball by McCann put runners at second and third. Now, if you're Carroll here, Ben, what are you telling Lynn in this situation?
This is interesting. I mean, this is an interesting time for a mound meeting. I think it's something to do strategy-wise with the whole infield, and not just with Lynn, with who's coming up. Maybe a message about facing Cuvée and where not to, more so, obviously where to put the ball, but also more so where not to put the ball when you're facing this good of a hitter. But, I mean, those are 2 great outs, and a lot of times you see that mound meeting after the first 2 guys he led on base, not after the 2 outs, but interesting to see how it plays out.
First pitch to Cuvée is below the knees, ball 1. Cuvée is known as the RBI guy down there in Miami. He had 84 of them this past season. That was a single season for the Hurricanes. 2 ducks on the pond at first and second. 1-0 from Lynn. Fooled on the curveball.
Yeah, 159 RBIs is awesome for a 4-year career in college baseball. How about 149 or 159 in your first two seasons?
That is unbelievable. Add that as well to plus 35 home runs. He awaits the 1-1. Here it is. Popped up in the infield. Gonna back up Osterhaus towards shallow center field. Over his shoulder, and he ranges it in for out number 3. Connor Lynn putting on his dancing shoes and escapes the jam as it's no runs on 1 hit. No errors with the 2 left on base in scoring position for Brewster. We go to the 6th. Falmouth in front 3-2 over Brewster. We'll be right back after these messages here on Cape League TV. Billy Barlow's day is done for Brewster. Welcome back to Stony Brook Field between the Commodores and the Whitecaps. Falmouth in front 3-2 as we go to the top of the 6th back alongside Ben Haller. I'm Andrew Delapiana. It's the righty from Arkansas, the rising sophomore Lance Davis, who gets the baseball, meeting 6, 7, 8 of the Falmouth lineup to begin his first outing on Cape Cod. The rising sophomore from Arkansas, and of course, Ben, we watched that phenomenal game last night between LSU and Arkansas. I really feel like the College World Series every year always propels itself to an unbelievable finish in the later stages of the tournament.
It was a phenomenal game for any neutral watcher. Definitely a phenomenal game for an LSU fan. It was not a phenomenal game for any Arkansas fan or player like Lance Davis. Obviously wasn't in Omaha last night, but still a part of that Arkansas team. Just heartbreak in that 9th inning. There is absolutely a curse on Arkansas baseball. Went all the way back to, I think it was the 2019 National Championship.
He starts off the lefty Kent Schmidt with a strike. Arkansas still looking for its first national championship after they've been a program for over 125 years. The 0-1. Schmidt fouls off the end of the bat back to the screen and foul. Pair of runner-ups, most recently coming back in 2008, but other than that, it's one of those programs that is always on the doorstep right there to getting there, and they really never do so. Lance Davis was the number 2 overall prospect by Perfect Game just a season ago. And here is his 0-2. Bouncer in the dirt, blocked by Rogers, but it got a piece of his hand, his non-glove hand, if you will. And he is a little bit shaken up as he stretches out those 5 fingers.
Hey, you're usually trying to tuck that hand away, but I think brought it up for some extra help keeping that ball in front. Thought did the job, but at what cost?
Home plate umpire Chris Payne just giving him a couple extra moments to stretch it out, make sure he's all right before getting back into action. And he gives him the nod, and he gets back into his stance. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count to Kent Schmidt. Top 6, Falmouth leads 3-2. Nobody on and nobody out for the leadoff man. Here is the pitch. It's a breaking ball just inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Schmidt also pointing over to David McCann on deck. Just telling him and indicating what pitch that last was for the new arm. Here is the 2-2. Schmidt takes all the way, but it's called strike 3 on the outer half. A really good spot from Davis. and a really tough pitch to a lefty to hit the other way. And there's one gone.
Yeah, it's pitch just tough to see for lefties. Won't see a lot of those in a righty-lefty matchup, but it's got another David McCann coming up.
One gone for another lefty in David McCann. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game. First offering from Davis. Breaking ball drops right in beautifully for strike one. Started in at the letters and then broke perfectly right at the belt. Davis shakes off the first 2 pitches from Rogers, is ready to deal his 0-1. McCann off the end of the bat, tailing, slicing foul third base side. Is it going to stay in for Cuvée? It's not, and it's a foul ball. McCann just wrapping up his sophomore season at Virginia Tech. One of this loaded catching staffs we touched on a little bit earlier, of course, under Jared Saltamacchia. It's a nice guy to learn under. 2013 World Series champion.
Yeah, it works both ways. I mean, obviously, great to have a coach like that, and it's so surprised they were able to get that talented of a room this season in terms of, recruiting, getting guys to come to Falmouth. That was a big role of Jared Saltamacchia's.
0-2 pitch, bouncer in the dirt, blocked nicely by Rogers, who's seemed to fight off that pitch he got a little bit earlier to his hand. The count 1-2. Davis comes set at the belt, and the pitch. McCann slicing it foul, third base side, out of the ballpark once more to stay alive. The righty Ben Royo waits on deck. One gone in the top of the 6th. Doors 3, Whitecaps 2. There's one gone. And the pitch. McCann rolls over. Foul ball, first base side once again. A long, tedious at-bat from McCann. He's fouled off 3 consecutive pitches.
Yeah, this is a great at-bat for McCann. Davis keeps attacking the zone, and I think he's doing a nice job of painting corners and staying, out of danger zones, but McCann just very defensive swings. I think we've seen that a lot from him in his first few starts for Falmouth.
Another 1-2 on the way. Schmidt, swing and a miss from McCann, excuse me. And a long at-bat results in a strikeout. And the first for Chase Davis out of the bullpen. There's 2 outs in the 5th. Two gone in the top of the 6th. Falmouth leads 3-2 over Brewster. The righty Ben Royo digs in. Pair of groundouts in this one, both to the left side of the infield. First offering from Davis. Breaking ball just above the letters for ball 1. Royo, a solid season at Texas A&M, where in early April that average was just about 250. You get to the later part of the month, it was about 300. 1-0. Pops it up. Behind home plate, going to get out of the ballpark once more. Falmouth once again looking to re-kickstart this offense. 3 runs in the last 2 innings to take this 3-2 lead. They've been doing it by keeping the ball in the infield. Davis is 1-2. Royo rolls over on the ground, third base side, foul.
Look, I know we've talked about it a lot, and it's kind of like beating a dead horse, but the one thing Saltamacchia preached when we first talked to him before the season started, recruiting guys who just put the ball in play, and today's a perfect example. They're not, roping the ball anywhere, and besides that Mike can do home run, but you're just making the defense make plays, and you make Brewster make a couple of errors. Again, a lot of guys who didn't spend a whole lot of this year playing on real grass and dirt. Some of these fields can have a little thicker grass, a little taller grass where the ball's tougher to move. And gives awkward hops.
1-2 taken in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top 6, Falmouth 3, Brewster 2. Lance Davis trying to go 1-2-3 for the Whitecaps. The righties, 2-2 pitch. Just below the knees. A really tough take there from Royo. Count full.
It didn't even look like Royo was ready for that pitch either, so I don't know. He's going to play that off as a great take, but
it's all about that discipline we talked about a little bit earlier in the at-bat. Payoff pitch, breaking ball below and outside for ball 4. Again, another long at-bat, but this time it's the Commodore and Arroyo who wins that battle.
It's such a big part of the college game, especially at school, definitely at schools, in terms of just working pitch counts up of pitchers, and a lot of teams just have a certain fall-off point, whether that's after their 4th best pitcher or their 5th best pitcher. But especially here on Cape Cod, when some of these pitchers have even shorter pitch count limits.
First pitch of the righty Carl Schmidt is low for ball 1.
It's so big to just get that extra at-bat, even if that 2-out walk doesn't amount to anything. You know, you just get more and more of that over time, gets the pitch count up of the pitchers.
Davis is 1-0. Low once more. Good frame job by Rogers to try to sneakily bring it back up. Didn't fool home plate umpire Chris Bain. Talk about the miscues that Brewster has made a little bit early on. Already 2 errors for the Whitecaps. Had 3 in these first 4 games entering today. 2-0. Is a fastball inside. 3 balls and no strikes. Schmidt was a hit by pitch victim back in the 5th after a hard lineout in the 3rd frame. Arroyo the runner on first after the 2-out walk. Davis comes set at the belt. Gives him a look. Kicks and deals. Take all the way from Schmidt, and it's a called strike right down Main Street. Schmidt, the rising redshirt junior from Cal Berkeley. Check over at first. Arroyo's back in there without a dive. First year in ACC play, he said he didn't really mind the travel.
No.
Getting out to the East Coast a couple of times. He's a California kid.
Well, he didn't, take a second to mention he didn't struggle with the schoolwork because he's always someone who's on top of the school, but he did say
for his
some
teammates.
Right.
Of course. Just going to come with a new conference alignment of that coast-to-coast travel, if you will. 3-1 from Davis. Schmidt sends it right back where it came from. A hot shot up the middle, and it's through for a base hit. Got the pitch exactly what he wanted and fires it right back into center field. And with 2 outs, Falmouth making a little bit of noise on the base paths.
Yeah, that's your stereotypical 3-1. You can almost just wait on a pitch and having a lot of freedom and a lot of wiggle room in that bat. And got like you mentioned, got exactly what he wanted on that slider.
Rogers for a quick word with the youngster Lance Davis. Back to the top of the lineup for Falmouth. It was back-to-back strikeouts to start this frame for Lance Davis, then followed it up with a hard-earned walk for Arroyo, then the 3-1 single for Schmidt. Kind of the opposite of what happened last inning for Connor Lynn, where he allowed the first 2 runners on, then retired the next 3.
We have not seen Antonio Morales in a whole lot of these positions, so I'm excited to see this at bat. Couple of runners on, couple outs. Trying to give him insurance.
Struck out his last time in the last frame. First pitch from Davis. Morales takes the curveball for a called strike. Being in that leadoff spot, you don't get a lot of chances for runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
But Morales has been an on-base machine in these first couple of games. Over 50% getting on. The 0-1. Can't nip the outer half of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Pretty quickly, another Brewster Whitecap warming up the bullpen too. Duncan Marston.
Antonio Morales' teammate from this past year at Wake Forest. Davis's long look in. Likes the sign from Rogers. The 1-1. Inside with a fastball. Davis losing a little bit of that command after the first 2 batters. He was really on point, hitting his spots, but you follow that up with the walk, then the single.
And it goes back to such a nice bat from Arroyo, too. And it was one that it feels like Lance Davis was headed towards an easy 1-2-3 inning.
2-1 on the way. Taken just outside with another curveball. Another hitter's count for a Falmouth hitter. Some really good discipline, really good patience in these last couple of frames from the Commodores. after it was really quiet first third of the ball game. 3-1. Morales goes after it, belts it in the ground, right side, easy play for Wentz, flips on to first, and it is in time for out number 3. Falmouth makes a little bit of noise with 2 outs, but cannot come through. We go to the bottom of the 6th. In the top half for Falmouth, no runs on 1 hit, no errors with the 2 left on base. Time for the bottom of the 6th between Falmouth and Brewster. Commodores leading 3-2. We'll be right back after a quick break here on Cape League TV.
Authentic Cape Cod dining is right down the road at Jim's Clam Shack. Open seasonally for over 50 years, Jim's Clam Shack features oceanfront views with all of the lobster, shrimp, burgers, and clams you could ask for. Stop by Jim's Clam Shack, located at 227 Quinton Avenue right here in Falmouth, to hit your next meal out of the park. That's Jim's Clam Shack at 227 Quinton Avenue, Falmouth.
I'm Coleman Mizell, outfielder from Alabama, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape League TV.
Welcome back to Stony Brook Field, bottom 6 between Falmouth and Brewster. Doors leading 3-2. Back alongside my buddy Ben Haller. I'm Andrew Del Piano. Beautiful night here in Brewster, just about 72 degrees as sunset inches just about an hour away. The lefty Connor Lynn back on the bump for Falmouth after doing a good job of dancing out of a jam last time, where he did allow the first 2 batters to reach in the form of a walk and a hit, but then with runners on second and third, retired the next 3.
I made a comment just before the Josiah Ragsdale at-bat where he had let 2 on. They were both in scoring position with nobody out. That at-bat, I think, had a lot of importance in terms of how the rest of the outing was going to go. He would have a run scored just for the ability to settle in, but you cannot beat what he did in the top third of the lineup, too. Strikeout, pop-up. It's pretty unreal.
Meets the lefty Alex Sosa to begin the 6th. The first pitch, Sosa swings right through the changeup for strike 1. Sosa, Wentz, and Priest, 4, 5, and 6, 2 up for the Whitecaps. Looking for a little bit of spark on offense. So far, it's just the 2 runs on 4 hits and 2 errors defensively. The 0-1 from the southpaw. Another breaking ball, beautifully dropped in for strike 2. Second appearance of the season for Lynn. Has still not allowed an earned run in 5 innings of work. And you go that along with 8 strikeouts as well, all out of the bullpen. The 0-2. Called strike 3 at the letters. Sosa frozen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night for out number 1 on 3 pitches.
I'll tell you what, it was great to see that last inning for Lynn, too, because obviously off to a great start. We hadn't really seen him work in a jam. He didn't have any of that in game 1 against Chatham, so to know that he has the ability to do that, it's big moving forward.
Here's Dalton Wentz from the right side, back-to-back strikeouts in his first 2 appearances. 0-2 goes after the first one and belts it deep into right field over the head of Morales, and this ball is out of here. Drops in for a ground rule double, hit just shy of the wall and bounced over.
Yeah, you could tell off the bat, Morales really misread that. It's a short, very short fence the whole way around, and it took a very high bounce. I think it hit off the warning track almost, but it doesn't really take much to bounce over the fence.
So Morales, ball jumps over his head, 1 hops over the wall. So just a ground rule double for Dalton Wentz with 1 gone in the 6th. First pitch to the lefty Priest is up and away for ball 1. Oh for 2 night for Priest so far with a line out and a ground out. Once more, it feels like Brewster has a runner in scoring position with a chance to tie the ball game. 1-0. Great looking spot from Lynn once more on the changeup. Priest digs back in from the left side.
Yeah, but with how hard that was hit, I mean, that is definitely a break for Falmouth, too.
1-1, catches the inside corner.
Especially for most of this game, this ball was there. The wind was carrying out maybe a little bit to right field. Now it's kind of changed out into left field. So earlier in this game, there's a chance that ball does get out.
Lynn ahead in the count, 1-2. Kicks and deals. Breaking ball once more, and it fools Priest again. A beautiful looking slider that tails out. 2 outs, both via the strikeout for Lynn.
That's what's so impressive about these Northern Kentucky guys, both Eshman and Lynn. It's been the strikeout more than any other pitcher in this Falmouth roster. Swinging, looking, doesn't matter.
2 gone for Carson Curse with a runner on second. First pitch just outside. 3-2 the Falmouth lead in the bottom of the 6th. They've been clinging to that 1-run advantage since the 5th. Nobody protecting the runner. Wentz on second, the 1-0. Slider tails inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Curse opened the scoring with a home run back in the 2nd. And it traveled over 385 feet in left center. Nearly hit the scoreboard. 2-0. Inside once more with the fastball. 3 balls, no strikes.
And this is what you just didn't see a whole lot from Lynn in that first appearance, was getting down to the count like this. And they walked 1 batter. Already walked 1 in this game an inning ago in the 5th.
Lynn comes set of the belt, his 3-0. Take all the way from Curse. It's in there for a strike. Osterhaus at second base, protecting Wentz on that bag. Corners with their toes even with the bag, and the shortstop Royal with his feet on the grass. 3-1. Swing and a miss. Change up in the dirt. I don't think Curse was expecting that one.
Well, I think he was expecting the changeup. I don't think he expected it to be that low. I think it really, like I said, 3-1 count. You got a pitch or 2 to choose. And I think if he saw a changeup, he was swinging.
3-2, and it is behind Curse. Umpire going to say dead ball, that it hit him. So that put runners at first and second after the hit by pitch. Two strikeouts in the inning for Lynn. Wentz, the 1-out double. He stands at second. Carson Curse at first after the hit by pitch. Doors 3, Whitecaps 2 in the bottom of the 6th. First pitch of the righty, Rogers, way in front of the changeup. Only 81 miles per hour from the southpaw. No one from Lynn. Right down Main Street for a called strike.
I think immediately what you're able to tell from Lynn, at least in the first couple of innings here, is the at-bat is usually dictated by the first couple of pitches. I mean, it's been very, two-dimensional. Either 2-0, 3-0 count or 0-2.
0-2 inside. Rogers has to dance out of the way.
And when he's gone up 0-2 and 1-2, he's done a very good job of inducing weak contact and obviously a couple of strikeouts in this inning.
Left runners at second and third last inning. Can he leave him at first and second here in this frame? The 1-2. Bouncer just behind home plate, and it actually hit Rogers. Back-to-back hit by pitches and free 90 feet for Whitecaps. Brewster has them loaded up.
It's back-to-back changeups that were low and inside, both to lefties. That time I hit him on the foot.
The bases are loaded. It's lefty on lefty for the 9-hitter, Ty Head. First pitch from Lynn. Bouncer in the dirt. Nice block by McCann to slide to his left. Keep that baseball in front of him.
It's that same exact spot. I said lefties, meant righties, obviously, with Rogers in that last at-bat.
Bases are juice. Commodores lead 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th with 2 outs. The 1-0. Right on the outer third. A great fastball by Lynn. Comes in at 87 miles per hour. Had is 1 for 1 with a single back in the 5th. Right back up the middle. The 1-1. Change up low and outside. Very pivotal point of this ball game. Wentz at third, Curse at second, Rogers at first. Lynn takes a look down, comes set of the belt, turns and fires. A called strike right on the inner third. 2 balls and 2 strikes as Ty Head is still not left the bat off the shoulders. Deuce is wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Low. Went to the fastball. 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. Runners will be going on the pitch. Fans start to put their hands together here at Stony Brook Field. The payoff pitch, runners take off, and it is outside for ball 4. The slider tailed away from Lynn, and a run comes in to score, and we are all even at 3 apiece in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, it's frustrating at bat for Lynn. Frustrating past few at bats too. It's really seemed like he's just living low below the zone. A tough time getting it up. Outside to lefty, inside to righties.
Pitching coach for the Doors, Todd Carroll out there for a quick word with the veteran. So just 1 hit so far for Brewster in this frame, and yet a run comes in. The bases are still loaded with 2 outs. Carroll makes his walk back to the first base side. And Brewster already has tied the ball game, looking to take its first lead since the 2nd inning. And it's the top of the lineup with the lefty Josiah Ragsdale can do so. Ragsdale already does have a double in this one, but he struck out with runners at 2nd and 3rd last inning. Another lefty on lefty with the southpaw Connor Lynn. His first pitch. Slider tails outside once more. Curse at 3rd, Rogers at 2nd, Head at 1st. Ragsdale, the rising senior from Boston College, spent his first 2 years at Iona. The 1-0. Ragsdale, a hot shot, gets through the lane into right field for a base hit. 1 run comes in to score. The relay throw cut off by Schmidt at first, and it's a 2-run single for Josiah Ragsdale. Brewster reclaims the lead. It's 5-3 Whitecaps in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, that's just a big league hitter right there. Josiah Ragsdale taking a pitch low in the zone and just pulling it, smoking it in a shallow right. It's just a league where, you know, those command issues really will kill you.
Lynn was just 1 strike away from getting out of this frame unscathed. First pitch to Sear is a tough play in the hole for Royo. Jumping effort. Sear's going to dive at first, in there safely. Another run comes in to score on some great effort down the line by Blake Sear. Brewster 6, Falmouth 3 in the bottom half of the inning. And Jared Saltamakia coming out to the mound. Looks like the day is done for Connor Lynn. And this situation almost identical to what happened in the 9th back on Sunday, where Brewster led 3-2, and now it is 6-3 Whitecaps.
Yeah, and it feels just like it's earlier. The way they did it's differently, and then earlier in the game too. As you get a lot of momentum from getting out of that jam last inning, and then this happens.
Falmouth is going to make a change. We'll tell you who the new arm is for the Commodores after a short break. 4 so far in this frame for Brewster. It's 6-3 Whitecaps with 2 gone in the bottom of the 6th. We'll be right back on Cape League TV. Of the 6th as Brewster takes a 6-3 lead thanks to 4 runs in this frame. Commodores looking to stop the bleeding, and they'll put out another lefty in Jacob Schultz. 6'2", 215 pounds, the rising junior from Vanderbilt. Made just 6 appearances in his first season with the other Commodores down there in Nashville. Runners at first and second for Brewster with 2 gone. And it's the most dangerous hitter in their lineup in Daniel Cuvée, who steps in.
They're going to stick with a lefty. This is a Brewster lineup that has more lefties than most. So I like the idea from Saltalamacchia.
First pitch from Schultz. Runner takes off from second. Throw down to third is not in time. It's a stolen base for Ragsdale, doing what he does best and causing some serious havoc on the base paths.
Yeah, that's second time, too, that he's still on third in this game with 2 outs. I mean, you don't see it a whole lot, but a little more of an advantage here with another runner on base as well.
Talked about Cuvée a little bit earlier. 84 RBIs this past spring for the Hurricanes. The 0-1, a large looming breaking ball from Schultz. Just above the letters, 1 ball, 1 strike. Cuvée has already advanced up that hit streak to 4 games after a double back in the first. Looking to add to this Whitecaps lead. 1-1. Breaking ball, and Cuvée swings right through it. Only came in at 71 miles per hour from Schultz.
Yeah, 71 miles an hour and a ton of horizontal or vertical break. He uses that pitch a lot.
Schultz looking to escape the jam. Here's the 1-2. Goes back to the breaking ball and fooled Cuvée once more. Drop third, McCain, cool, calm, and collected down to first for out number 3. But the damage is done for Brewster. It's 4 runs on 3 hits. No errors with the 2 left on base, and the Whitecaps take a 6-3 lead as we go to the final third of the ballgame. Can Falmouth respond in the 7th inning? You'll just have to find out and wait right here on Cape League TV.
The 99 Restaurant and Pub is proud to be a sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League this summer. Visit your local 99 and try their famous colossal lobster rolls, piled high on grilled brioche and served either hot and buttered or with just the right amount of mayo and celery to go along with the fries and coleslaw. Visit your local 99 restaurant this summer today. You gotta love the Nines.
Top of the 7th back here at Stony Brook Field in Brewster, Massachusetts. The Whitecaps, the home team, in front 6-3, looking to go to 5-0 on the young season. Back alongside Ben Haller, I'm Andrew Delapiana here on the Commodores Network. It is still Lance Davis, the righty, back out there, the rising sophomore from Arkansas, facing 2, 3, 4 of the Falmouth lineup. Got about an hour before sunset. Of course, no lights here in Brewster. And in both the home games so far for the Whitecaps, they've only played 8 innings. So depending on how timing works out, might only have one more frame of baseball. We'll just have to wait and see. Here's the lefty, Justin Osterhaus. First pitch is a fastball that is just outside, comes in at 92 miles per hour from Davis. Osterhaus 0 for 3 in the ball game, has grounded into a double play back in the first. The 1-0 goes back to the fastball, ropes it to the second baseman, and Wentz shuffles over and makes the play for out number 1. Three groundouts in this one for Osterhaus. As Falmouth looking for that offensive magic they saw back on Tuesday. I bet they love a 9-run frame in this one, just like they did in the 6th against the Firebirds. Bear Harrison looking to provide that spark. Had 5 RBIs in that game with a pair of home runs. First pitch from Davis. Swing and a miss by Harrison right through the fastball at 93.
That's a Falmouth team, too, that hasn't done a whole lot of playing from behind either this year. Or they haven't done well playing from behind this year.
0-1 from Davis. Breaking ball, Harrison ropes at third base side, deflects off the netting just in front of the Brewster dugout. 2 balls, no strikes. Harrison in the DH spot tonight after, of course, the day off Fenway Day yesterday. Tuesday, he was behind home plate. The 0-2. Breaking ball, Harrison way out in front for strike 3. And some serious vertical break from Davis for out number 2. Falmouth trailed 2-0 earlier in the ballgame, then responded with 3 unanswered runs, with the Whitecaps putting up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 6th. First pitch to Landon Moran outside. Moran has reached safely twice tonight with an E1 back in the 5th and a walk in the 4th. It was the first run for Falmouth. 1-0. Another fastball, low. Davis from the first base side of the bump. Kicks and deals. Breaking ball, Moran spoils it off third base side, out of the ballpark. Davis is 2-1. Goes back to the breaking ball, chopped. Second baseman Wentz corrals once more. Covering at first is Davis, and he got the right foot on the bag as momentum was taking him up the line. 1, 2, 3 in the 7th for Falmouth. Running out of time offensively to get back in this ball game. It's Brewster 6, Falmouth 3. Time to stretch here in Brewster. We'll be right back after these messages on Cape League TV.
Whether you own a car, home, business, or investment property, it's critical you keep it secure and protected. Since 1989, our friends at Northeast Insurance Solutions have been the trusted insurance agency to serve the Commonwealth. Visit them on the web at insurewithnortheast.com or at their offices, 100 Ledgewood Place in Rockland.
out here in Brewster, ready to get back to some baseball with Falmouth trailing Brewster 6-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Back alongside Ben Haller, I'm Andrew Della Piana. Jacob Schultz, the lefty, trying to settle down the momentum just a little bit for Brewster. But after a 4-run 6th inning, the Whitecaps not only have crawled back in this game, but have taken full advantage of a couple of miscues at the end of the ball game. Excuse me, at the end of that frame. It's 4-5-6 due up for the Whitecaps, starting with Alex Sosa, the lefty. Pair of strikeouts in this one for the former NC State Wolfpack. Just announced his name into the transfer portal last night. Scholl's first offering is a fastball right down the heart of the plate for strike one. Sosa so far this season was very impressive in the opener last night for him. Went 2 for 3 with a pair of RBIs. The 0-1. Large looming breaking ball from Schultz drops right in. Same velocity as last time. It's 71 miles per hour. We have to really sit back on that breaking ball. Sosa all the way back in the box. The 0-2. Sosa goes down hacking at a high fastball, 90 miles per hour from the southpaw. And just like that, there's one gone. That sends up Dalton Wentz, who also has a pair of strikeouts in this one. Doubled last inning. Came around to score for the first run of that 4-run frame for the Whitecaps. Scholl stands on the third base side of the mound. And his first pitch, it's a ball. Commodores just trying to hold the deficit here at 3 to give their bats a chance. The 1-0 popped up. Foul territory first base side. It's going to slice just enough to get out of the ballpark. Scholl's in his second appearance of the season. Came in for a couple of relief innings back on Saturday. Excuse me, back on Sunday. Here's 1-1. Goes back to that breaking ball, and it drops in once more for a called strike. And all Dalton Wentz can do is look down to his third base coach and say, what am I supposed to do with that?
I like how efficiently Schultz has come in and worked, too. I mean, it is a Brewster lineup that is just so tough to navigate. That's what they do. They score in bunches. They've had a lot of crooked innings this year. That's been impressive.
And they've so far dominated these middle innings as well. Entering today, the Whitecaps have outscored their opponents 6-3 between innings 4 and 6. And in this one, that was also the case, especially with the 4 runs in the 6th. 2-1 is just below the knees. 3 balls and 2 strikes the count. Falmouth dugout didn't think so. Brewster so far today, the 6 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors for Falmouth. 3 runs on 6 base knots with no miscues in the field. Scholl's 3-2. Fastball up and out, ball 4. It's a walk for Wentz with 1 out. Falmouth trails 6-3, bottom 7. Runner on first with 1 out. Brewster 4-0 entering today. The last time that happened, we don't know, because scheduled data wasn't available just about over 15 years ago. Lefty on lefty, first pitch to Priest is in there for a strike. Stony Brook has been a good spot for Brewster over these last couple of years. Not last season, though, where they missed the postseason in a loaded East Division. Check over at first. Wentz back in without a dive. Both these teams missing the postseason last year, but for the Whitecaps, it's been a nice turnaround. Looking to still remain the only unbeaten team in the league. Scholl's 0-1. Here brings out the breaking ball once more, and it's too high. 1 ball, 1 strike to the big lefty, Colin Priest. Stands in at 6'4", 235 pounds from Clemson. Another check over at first on Wentz. Back in there safely.
You know, I hate to jinx it. I think we're making pretty good time. We talked about 8:30 and 8:50 being the 2 times they called it.
Sounds about right.
So we're only at 7:20 right now. A quick 8th at this point. There won't be a bottom of the 9th unless Falmouth figures something out.
One. Called strike, beautifully placed on the outer third by Schultz. 1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Whitecaps 6, Commodores 3. The 1-2, way up and out. Wentz the runner on first after the 1-out single. He's been looked at a couple of times on this at bat by Colin Priest, who's still looking for his first base knock of the night, 0 for 3. Scholes will look over at first, kicks and deals. Is right at the second baseman, Osterhaus throws home to first over Schmidt's head, but luckily enough, went was way off the bag and was frozen between first and second. It's a double play for the Commodores to end the 7th after no runs on 1 hit, no errors with none left on base. Falmouth running out of time offensively. What do they have in their arsenal? You'll just have to find out and see right here on Cape League TV. We'll be right back. Brewster 6, Falmouth 3. Outs away from their 3rd loss of the season. They need runs and they need them quick. As the Whitecaps lead 6-3 with Ben Haller. I'm Andrew Delapiana. New arm out there for the Whitecaps. It's the righty Duncan Marsden from Wake Forest, the rising sophomore there down in Winston-Salem. Pitched 10 1/3 this year for the Demon Deeks, a sub-9 ERA. Meeting 4, 5, and 6 to start this 8th frame, and really feels like the good part of the lineup to get things going with the righty Mike Anu, who already has a 2-run homer earlier tonight. Marsden steps up to the bump. And the first pitch, here it is. Just outside for ball 1. Knew that home run back in the 4th off the bat at 108 miles per hour, traveled 387 feet. 1-0, bouncer in the dirt, kept in front of the catcher Rogers. 2 balls, no strikes. Falmouth, this offense has gone a little silent after 2 runs in the 4th, 1 in the 5th to take the lead, but it's been 4 unanswered for the Whitecaps. 2-0, up and in again, 3-0.
It's just an offense, too, that we have yet to really see put up crooked numbers outside of that Tuesday night game against Orleans. So it just feels like a 3-run deficit. And again, the way they've scored runs this year, you had the 2-run home run from the man at the plate earlier, but then, you know, the 3rd run coming on an error.
3-0. Take all the way from the righty. It's right down Main Street for a called strike. New, his 2nd home run of the season. Got a 2-run shot to right field in Orleans on Tuesday. As the hitters count at 3-1, the pitch. Sends it right back where it came from, up the middle. Diving effort from Wentz, and he's not able to get there in time. A leadoff single from Micah New, just what Falmouth needed to start the 8th.
I think that's another reason too that they've struggled to put together big innings. It starts, obviously you got to have guys bring in the runs, but it starts at leading off base hits, 1-out base hits. Feels like a lot of the production and 2-out walks, 2-out base hits have been a lot of guys reaching base this year.
Here's the big bat of Kent Schmidt from the left side. In his final game this season at a multi-home run effort, the first of his collegiate career in Georgia Tech's loss in the regional. Marston check over at first. New back in safely with a dive. Both of these pitching staffs have been very careful with runners on first base tonight.
Yeah. Well, I think if the first 4 games are any indication, there's good reason for being that careful with runners on base.
Here's the first pitch just met. Belted right back up the middle. Another diving effort by Wentz. This one gets through as well. New on his horse to third. He's in there standing up. And almost the exact same pitch, exact same result. Runners at the corners for the Doors.
Yeah, I think Marston's going to think twice before throwing that pitch again. I loved it, too, before the start of this half inning. Antonio Morales, who played his last couple of years at Wake Forest, had some words for both Micah New and Ken Schmidt about what to expect from Marston, somebody who obviously didn't face him in games, but I'm sure faced him a lot in practice and inter-squad scrimmages and live ABs, all that kind of stuff. Well, maybe that helped both of those guys get base hits.
Maybe that helps up David McCann as well, the lefty. No outs, runners at the corners. Commodores trailing 6-3 in the 8th. First pitch from the Demon Deacon is up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. I think that's definitely an aspect of the league maybe gets overlooked a little bit, is having different guys on each team, so you can basically give the scouting report to the guys on your team.
And stuff that most in detailed scouting reports don't even have.
Of course.
Because it's just uber specific stuff.
1-0. Runner from first takes off. The throw down there. That's John Smith, the pinch runner, and he's safe. Ty had the center fielder in the surrender Cobra position. He didn't think Smith was safe, but either way, 2 ducks in the pond for Falmouth.
And a lot of these guys aren't used to not having instant replay and challenges here too. So it looked to me like that was about as bang as it can be.
So Smith pinch runs for Schmidt and immediately swipes second. 2-0 count to McCain. Here's the pitch. Nearly gets away from Rogers. Couple of steps to his right, keeps it in front. No advancement from the runners. 3 balls, no strikes though.
Andrew, we're in perfect position. I almost stuck my hand up as to tell Micah to stay there. Is that illegal to have broadcaster help from the stands?
We'll have to check with the league on that one. New the runner on third. John Smith at second. McCann at the plate. 3-0 count in his favor. The pitch. Up and in, it's ball 4, and the Commodores have the bases loaded. Still nobody out in the top of the 8th. Falmouth trails 6-3 with their best chance so far.
And I can't remember a time, if you take out Tuesday's game against Orleans, where Falmouth has loaded the bases too, especially with nobody out.
Ben Arroyo with a chance to turn this game on its head. He's 0 for 2 so far. And for this massive at-bat, Brewster going to have a meeting on the mound. Get you a quick game reset, why don't you? Brewster took a 2-0 lead thanks to runs in the 2nd and 3rd. 1 thanks to a solo home run by Blake Sear. Falmouth followed that up with a 2 spot in the 4th after a 2-run home run by Micah New, who stands on 3rd. Had a couple of fielding miscues in the 5th by Brewster that put Falmouth in front 3-2. And then the Whitecaps exploding for 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. after Connor Lynn started off the outing solid, and then really things started to unravel for the lefty. But that gets us to the bases loaded, nobody out, top 8, Whitecaps 6, Commodores 3 for Ben Arroyo, the righty.
Zach Bates working in the Brewster bullpen as well. He did a very nice job against Falmouth the first time these two teams saw each other.
Arroyo, the rising sophomore from Texas A&M, still looking for his first big hit of the young season. Duncan Marsden comes set of the belt. His first pitch is a fastball right down the middle for strike one. New the runner on third, Smith at second, McCann on first. Marston's a long look in, the 0-1. Goes back to the fastball, similar spot, same result, nothing in 2.
Yeah, Arroyo doesn't like that spot. It's a lower outside corner, and it is tough for a righty-on-righty matchup, but it's really an opportunity to punch something the other way. That's about all you can do with that kind of pitch. We haven't seen Arroyo do that a whole lot this year yet.
Arroyo, a couple practice swings before he digs back in, ready for the 0-2. Here it is. Taken outside for ball 1, goes back to that fastball. Comes in at 94 miles per hour on the radar gun.
And look, that's a good take. 94 miles an hour and 0-2 count. When he's living on that outside lower corner, he sticks in that area, obviously almost in the dirt, but still you see that in a similar spot. You feel like you need to swing at an 0-2.
1-2. Breaking ball, tails outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Arroyo gets a couple of claps down the third base line from hitting coach Jack O'Reilly for that good take. Bases are loaded, nobody out. 2-2 count to Arroyo, top 8, Doors trailing 6-3. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Arroyo went chasing on the upstairs fastball. And a pitch he is gonna want back as he walks back to the dugout.
Yeah, 2 pitches on the outside lower corner, 2 in the dirt that were also outside, and then you come back with a fastball high. It's just so tough to, you lose a sense of the zone almost when you see that many pitches in the same area.
Here's the 9-hitter, Carl Schmidt. Has reached base twice tonight with a single back in the 6th and a hit by pitch victim. First offering. Goes after it, puts it on the ground, right side. Wentz vacuums it up, fires over to first, and it is out number 2 over at first. But Mike Anu comes in to score after the RBI ground out from Carl Schmidt. And Falmouth advances the runners to second and third as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice out. That's also, too, I mean, this is one of the biggest differences between the real grass and turf. That ball was decently struck. If this is a turf, that's probably a double play. It just dies on this real grass, and I think that'll be it for Marston.
Here comes manager Jamie Shevchuk, the veteran in his 10th season, about to take the ball away from the righty.
And you could tell the frustration for Antonio Morales, too. We were talking about his teammate. He knew his tendencies, wanted to face him.
Maybe that went into Shevchuk's decision just a little bit. The world may never know. New arm coming up for the Whitecaps. We'll tell you who it is. Can Falmouth rally back with runners at second and third with 2 out, trailing by 2? We'll just have to wait and see here after a short break on Cape League TV. back out there for Brewster. It's the left-hander Zach Bates, the rising junior from Illinois. Was a member of the All-Big Ten third team this past season with the Fighting Illini after a 2-2 season, a sub-3 ERA and 23 relief appearances. The transfer from Iowa Central Community College, and he inherits runners at second and third, 2 outs, top 8. Falmouth trails 6-3 against Brewster. Back alongside Ben Haller, I'm Andrew Del Piana. Of course, no doubt the most important part of this ball game, and it relies up to the lefty Antonio Morales, who before the break we said was looking forward to facing his teammate from the spring. Not meant to be, and maybe a good move on Jamie Shevchak's part.
Yeah, and Antonio Morales was giving, some tips to the couple of hitters at the beginning of this inning. Morales could have to see a new arm, though, one that I don't think he saw in this past spring season, unless Illinois, Wake Forest played each other in non-conference. And it's also a lefty-on-lefty matchup, so.
Well, here is Morales, 2 for 4 in the ball game. Started off this one with a pair of singles, looking for another one here. First offering from Bates, he fires the fastball outside. It's John Smith, the runner on third. David McCann, the runner on second. Mike Anu has already scored after an RBI ground out from Carl Schmidt. Bates stands on the first base side of the bump, comes set at the belt, turns and fires. Right on the black on the outer third for a called strike. Morales, the recent transfer to Maryland just a couple of days ago, after appearing in just 19 games this past season for the Demon Deacs. 1-1. Morales off the end of the bat, foul, back to the screen. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Takes a long walk around home plate, readjust the batting gloves, readjust the helmet as well. A brownish end of the bat with a black interior. Bates asking for another sign from Rogers. He gets one he likes. Here is the 1-2. Outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs to number 2. Top 8, Falmouth trails 6-4. Runners at second and third.
Had it talked about it, doesn't have a ton of these situations. Batting of the leadoff spot, second and third. Second, and this exact same situation, right out the second as last time.
Here is the 2-2. Cold strike 3. And Morales goes down looking, and Falmouth leaves runners at second and third, and the potential tying run 180 feet away. The Doors, luckily, they do get one back, though, on 1 run. 2 hits, no errors, but 2 left on base. Bottom of the 8th from Brewster. Whitecaps 6, Commodores 4. More baseball on the other side here on Cape League TV. Here on Cape League TV for the first time this season at Stony Brook Field. We're playing the bottom of the 8th inning. Welcome back to Stony Brook Field. Falmouth and Brewster Whitecaps leading the Doors 6-3 as we are in the bottom of the 8th. Right-hander on for Falmouth, Caden Humphrey, the former North Florida product. Just recently transferred to Alabama in that loaded bullpen, and for good reason. He was an All-Sun second-team All-Conference this past season with a sub-4 ERA out of the bullpen, and was also the stopper of the year in the midseason watch list, as now he is a member of the Crimson Tide. 7-8-9 due up for the Whitecaps, starting with the right-hander, Carson Curse.
Yeah, a stopper of the year. He excels in this role. Not the specifically, being down 2 in the bottom of the 8th, but in a situation late in the game where you just need an inning, and you just need to hold it over to have a chance till next inning. He's great at that.
You do have 2, 3, 4 due up for Falmouth in the 9th. Some defensive changes for the Doors. Now playing left field, John Smith. And Landon Moran moves out towards right field. The 0-1. Breaking ball, just above the zone. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Morales out too, which makes sense in batting. It was the last out before this inning. A lot of valid pinch hitters, worthy pinch hitters on the bench as well.
1-1 from Humphrey. Jam shot. A couple of strides behind home plate. McCann underneath it, and he makes the grab for out number 1.
Makes sense that we're able to make it to this first spot on the 8th at Brewster this year, making a pretty good time. That was the interesting part about it. Like there was like a 3-2 game that got cut short.
Yeah. 4-3 a couple of days ago against Bourne back on Tuesday.
And this is a 6-4 game that's moving much quicker than those.
First pitch to the righty, Drew Rogers drops in for a strike, which is, of course, interesting. This feels like this maybe was drawn out a little bit more, especially after that 6th inning, but luckily still enough light left to get this one out. 0-1, another breaking ball, beautifully placed in by Humphrey. 0-2 to Drew Rogers. 1 of 4 runs to come across in the 6th. That has been the most important part of this ball game that the Whitecaps have jumped all over with a 6-4 lead. 0-2, Humphrey up and in for ball 1.
Andrew, I love how they have all these banners right across the
It is
first base,
very
third base
cool.
line of all the MLB guys with their new pictures. All these guys are guys I've heard of. But then they just have this random guy who wears like 99 for the Yankees that I've never heard of.
Are you serious?
Aaron Judge or something like that?
1-2, swing and a miss. Strike 3 on Drew Rogers for his 2nd strikeout. I want you to look up Aaron Judge on your computer right now, and he's pretty good at baseball. It's okay.
Has he made his major league debut yet?
He made it a couple. He made it a couple of years ago. He's only 32 years old now, so he's been there quite a while.
Dan Papillo really wants me to say that Jeff McNeil, Mets legends down the first base line.
That's just some Mets bias right in your direction, though. 2 outs, nobody on, bottom 8. Here's Ty Head at the 9th spot, the lefty. First pitch from Humphrey is below the knees for ball 1. Falmouth looking to create a little bit of momentum as we go towards that 9th, and basically in the exact same spot the Whitecaps are in, where they were in Falmouth back on Sunday. Breaking ball in the dirt on a 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes. Brewster trailed 3-2 going into the 9th, put up a 4 spot, eventually went on to win that game 6-3. Part of this 4-0 start for the Whitecaps, their first 4-game win streak in over 3 years. 2-0. Fastball up and away. 3 balls, no strikes. And also Brewster's been really good at tightly contested contest games as well this season. 1-0 in 3-0 in 1-run games. Humphrey down in the count, 3-0 to Head. The pitch. Head takes it right down the heart of the plate for strike 1. Head drew a big-time walk in the bottom of the 6th to come around and eventually score. Where Connor Lynn was just a strike away from getting out of the inning. Instead, he was disciplined enough. 3-1. Takes a fastball in the outer third, and he nods his head in agreement that it was a really good pitch from Humphrey. Head digs back in, awaiting the 3-2 from Humphrey. Here it is. Goes back to the fastball and splits it back to the screen. takes a deep breath before digging back in with a nice teal end of his bat. We talked about those uniforms a little bit earlier. There, some sweet stuff there from the Whitecaps. Another 3-2 on the way. Breaking ball, called strike 3. It fooled head in the box after down 3-0 in the count. Humphrey comes back and sends them packing on called strikes. Falmouth one last chance in the top of the ninth as it's 1-2-3 in the bottom of the eighth for Brewster. But the Commodores have enough in them to muster a comeback and to go 3-0 on the road. We'll just have to wait and see right here on Cape League TV.
Authentic Cape Cod dining is right down the road at Jim's Clam Shack. Open seasonally for over 50 years, Jim's Clam Shack features oceanfront views with all of the lobster, shrimp, burgers, and clams you could ask for. Stop by Jim's Clam Shack, located at 227 Quinton Avenue right here in Falmouth, to hit your next meal out of the park. That's Jim's Clam Shack at 227 Quinton Avenue, Falmouth.
I'm Devin Sheeran, right-handed pitcher from LSU, and you're listening to Commodores Baseball on Cape League TV.
Top of the ninth from Stony Brook Field in beautiful Brewster, Massachusetts. Whitecaps in front of the Doors, 6-4. Last chance coming up for Falmouth. 2-3-4 due up. We'll start with the lefty, Justin Osterhaus, taking on the lefty, Zach Bates. Rising junior from Illinois, back out for another inning on the job after he had the massive backward strikeout to Antonio Morales. With runners at second and third, back alongside Ben Haller, I'm Andrew Del Piano. Commodores looking to do a little bit of reversal on the Whitecaps after what happened back on Saturday, where the Whitecaps scored 4 in the ninth. First pitch from the southpaw. Osterhaus belts it deep into left center field. It's going to drop in for a base hit. This one is going to be extra bases. Osterhaus on his horse, kicking up some dirt on his way to second with a leadoff double.
Yeah, I mean, this is at least a good spot of the lineup to do it. Going 2, 3, 4. Part of the lineup that's had success recently, at least the 3, 4, 5 spot. When you look at these three guys coming up right now, Harrison, Moran, and New.
So Osterhaus stands at second thanks to the leadoff double. Bear Harrison from the right side, 1 for 4 in today's contest, does have a single back in the fifth. He does have the matchup advantage with the lefty on the mound. Bates a look over at second at Osterhaus, the pitch. Harrison takes the first one right down Main Street. Harrison coming off a 5 RBI performance back on Tuesday, with a pair of 2-run home runs in a similar spot here, with one swing can tie the game. The 0-1, bouncer in the dirt, blocked by Rogers. Does a good job of getting both knees down, gets the chest protector in front.
And if you're Osterhaus right now, really no need to be too aggressive. It's the run behind you that really matters.
Bates from the third base side of the bump. Takes a look back at Osterhaus. Turns and fires. Goes to the breaking ball, and a nice looking spot there. 78 miles per hour. Or so, it looked like a knuckle curve.
Yeah. Well, that outside corner to righties, inside corner to lefties has been pretty generous today. And you could tell pitchers on both sides have really leaned on it.
Bates likes the sign from Rogers. Comes set at the belt. The 1-2. Harrison, high, deep left field. Little bit of space for Sear just in front of the wall. Reaches up and he makes the grab right on the warning track. Osterhaus tags from second. He's there in a third safely. But oh my, for a chance. Sear backing up. Harrison nearly tied the ball game.
Yeah, he just missed that pitch, too. And it was tailing, like you said. The Sear really was just slowly tailing back. That ball just carried.
Osterhaus advances up 90 feet to third base, but as you said, that run, of course it does matter, but, not the most important in the world right now. Bates is going to be worried about the task at hand at home plate in the form of the lefty Landon Moran. First offering, take all the way, slider outside for ball one. Moran has reached safely 2 out of the 4 times tonight, thanks to an error by the pitcher back in the 5th and a walk in the 4th. The 1-0. Just on the black on the outer third. 1 ball and 1 strike. Runner on third is Osterhaus. There's 1 gone in the top of the 9th. Brewster leads 6-4. Whitecaps just 2 outs away from going to 5-0 this season. 1-1. Same spot, same result, but just a different pitch. 91 on the fastball from Bates.
Yeah, Bates' location's been excellent so far in this inning. And 91 mile-an-hour fastball, nothing that these Falmouth hitters haven't seen. It's just where it is. Tough to hit.
Bates is 1-2, goes to the breaking ball, and it's spoiled off by Moran, sent first base side. No doubt Falmouth has had their chances in this ball game with runners in scoring position. You look back to that 8th inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Should say the bases loaded, only cashed in just 1. Bates is 1-2 once more. Cold strike 3 on the outer third. It's a picture-perfect placement from Bates on the fastball, goes back to it. And the bright Brewster Whitecaps 1 out away from victory.
I mean, yeah, this is excellent placement for Bates. At some point, you do have to swing the bat. I mean, it's just been a lot of backward Ks for the Commodores today.
Think about no one bigger than that last one back in the 8th with Morales runners at 2nd and 3rd. He goes down looking. Last chance for Falmouth. Mike Anu from the right side has already homered once in this ball game. First pitch, goes after it. Off the end of the bat, tailing, slicing foul out of play on the first base side.
So John Smith's on deck in place of Ken Schmidt. Did Morales take over at first base? That must have been the case, because Ken Schmidt's out and Smith enters.
That must have been the case, yes.
So Smith went to right, or Moran went to right.
Morales has been that true utility guy. You can really throw him anywhere. No balls, 1 strikes to Mike Anu. Bates is 0-1. Inside 2-0 to the Marshall product. Said yesterday during Cape League it was a kind of a sigh of relief to finally get that first homer on the Cape out of the way. And bet it felt even better to have the second one out of the way as well earlier tonight. Would love number 3 in this spot. 1-1. Roped foul third base side towards the Brewster dugout. And Falmouth, it's down to its final strike. Whitecaps fans come to their feet with a chance to go 5-0 and remain perfect at home here at Stony Brook. Runner on third, 2 outs, 1-2 count. Brewster leads 6-4 in the 9th. The pitch. Rope towards third base, and it is caught by Cuvée, and that does it. The Whitecaps go to 5-0 thanks to a 6-4 victory over the Commodores. Falmouth goes back below 500, going to 2-3 after a setback here in Brewster tonight.
Yeah, offensively, just more of the same. There is some improvement, maybe a little bit carried off Mike Anu with that 2-run home run. They had a little more innings where they got guys on with 0 or 1 outs. I think is a good sign. Still, just a little too much small ball when you're playing a bunch of teams that just have so much power from top to bottom in their lineup. Falmouth just looking for a little bit more of that as William Rose is about to join us.
Commodores fall in this one 6-4. Brewster going to 5-0 with the win tonight, and kind of feels like in a spot where Falmouth trading wins right now, and We're now joined by the third member of our crew, Will Rosen. Offensively, we kind of dissected a little bit, but just kind of some untimely hitting from the Commodores tonight.
Yeah, Andrew, you're right. The hitting was on at the beginning for this Falmouth team, but really the dividend inning was that bottom of the sixth when it was just a powerhouse on the other end.
Some really good bats came up for Brewster, Ben, and I feel like we kind of sound like a broken record. The last time these two teams played, that 4 runs in the 9th come back to bite Falmouth in this one. But as we talked about all throughout the broadcast, this offense and this Whitecaps team is probably one of the better ones the Doors will see all season long.
Well, starters continue to be great, first of all, for Falmouth. Starting pitchers, Caden Espen was excellent today. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season, the Brewster's a very tough candidate to win this league. And I thought so, not just because I started 4-0 and now 5-0, but because of that lineup coming into the year. I mean, so many ACC bats. It feels like you just take the all-ACC first and second team, combine them, and that's what we're getting in this Brewster Whitecap lineup.
Offensively, Will, one more note to end on. It still feels like Falmouth is trying to get out of this rut where they have that good spurts of offense. We definitely saw it on Tuesday night against Orleans, but definitely a lot of chances in this game to come back, especially that we're kind of utilized and taken out of this game by the backwards K.
Yeah, there has been a trend over these first 5 games where the hitting really begins incredibly well for the Commodores, but towards the middle innings, there seems to be a lull in the action for the Falmouth batters. That's something that if I'm head coach Jared Saltalomakia, I'm going to be working on making sure they stay ready throughout the back innings of each game.
Well, not a lot of time to prepare for the Orleans Firebirds tomorrow, as the Doors will get back to Gov Fuller Field for a date with the Firebirds. That one's set for a 6 o'clock start. We'll be on the air at 5:40 from Gov Fuller Field, but for our entire crew here from Stony Brook Field, our producer Dan Papillo, third member of our crew Will Rosen, thanks so much for joining us, and my good buddy and partner Ben Haller. I'm Andrew Del Piana saying so long and good night from Brewster.